reka dutangire. Ndizera abari hanze ko bose binjiye kugira ngo tubashe gutangira. Dear representative of the governor of NBR, dear Director General of RICA, dear Director General of RSB, distinguished guests, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on about the quality, the potency, the quantity, purity, price, and standard of goods and services. About product and services. Fourth, the consumer has the right to choose from a variety of product and services at the right price and against an invoice. Fifth, the consumer has the right to voice a complaint and seek redressal whenever his rights have been, whenever the consumer has the right, has been infringed, and the right finally to education and to representation. This year, the Consumer International selected fair digital finance as our global theme. Digital finance brings new opportunities, but also new risks that can lead to unfair outcomes for consumers. This was World Consumer Right Day will be a golden opportunity to spark the conversation on the consumer behaviors in a digital way, in a digital world. That's why we are gathering here as but to kickstart this exchange, I would like to ask you to allow me to introduce our guests of honor and to trigger an introductory tour so that we can have these exchanges in a mood that is more relaxed. So that's why I would like to present to you the representative of the governor of NBR. I would like to ask him to rise and greet this assembly for recognition. Allow me as well to ask the Director General of RICA, Rwanda Inspectorate Competition and Consumer Protection Authority, to rise for recognition. On the same opportunity, allow me to ask the Director General of Rwanda Standard Board to rise and greet the assembly. I would like to ask the representative ADECO, which is a civil society umbrella that advocates for consumer, to rise and greet the assembly here. I would like as well to ask the representative of the Director General of Rwanda Utility Regulatory Authority to rise for recognition. For the private sector, we have a very valuable representative of MTN. I would like to ask him to rise and greet the assembly. It will take us some minutes, but it's really worth it. I would like to ask, starting by this table, everyone to tell us the name and where he's coming from. I will be starting by Maître.
Thank you very much, Valentin. My name is Moise Mundabarashi, and I'm the president of the Rwanda Bar Association.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Richard Kaivanda, the Registrar General and representing the Deputy CEO in this event. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Karango Kassien, Director in charge of trade promotion. I'm representing MNICOM in this event. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Pierre Claver Rutaisire, Acting Principal of the College of Business and Economics, representing the University of Rwanda.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dr. Jigimantas Ishka. I'm representing EU delegation in Rwanda.
Good morning. My name is Antoinette Mbawaz. I work for RICA, Head of Department in charge of registration, licensing, and enforcement. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jean-Paul Honsi. I'm Head of Technical Department in Britam, Rwanda, as well as Chair of the Technical Committee Association of the Insurance Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you. By names of Kajung Frank, I'm the Manager of Financial Sector Conduct and Consumer Protection at National Bank of Rwanda. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Christian Mugisha. I'm presenting EJ.com. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Theonest Njangwe from Murura, Consumer Protection Manager.
Good morning. I'm Wijiche James, Director Commercial Services, WASAC, representing the CEO.
Good morning. I am Mukasekuru Eugenie. I am a Senior Complaint Analysis Officer in Rural Consumer Protection Unit.
My name is Emabre Muranga. I come from Amir.
I'm Chantal Wamaria from Amir.
Good morning. I'm Angelo from the Ministry of ICT Innovation, in charge of service digitization.
Good morning. I'm Josephine Nyiranzeimana, representing RISA. I'm the government CIO.
Good morning. My name is Anne-Marie Turau Mukiza, Head of Retail in Sonarwa. I'm SR team.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lydia Ndaikunda from Rwanda Media Commission. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Pretty Feza. I'm working for RICA.
Good morning. I'm Solange Bazina from RICA, Podakago Senior Inspector.
Good morning. I'm Muranga Mirgwa Liberata. I'm working with RICA. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Ephraim Sharte, HR officer from RICA.
Good morning. My name is Wilson Karejea, Director Commercial Operations, Rwanda Energy Group, representing the CEO.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Omotoni, Marketing and Communication Executive, representing Centrica Limited in this event.
Good morning. I am Ayimana Jean-Marie from Umurenge Sako.
Good morning. I'm Alphonse Nirenganya. I'm Head of Credit Department, Copedu. I'm presenting CEO. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ivenirani Mohosi. I work for RICA as the Registrar of Construction Materials. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Didas. I am representing Rura. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Shingiro Jean-Claude, representing EPRI in Rwanda.
Good morning. My name is Jean-Claude Kubwimana. I work with the Pressbox. It's a news media outlet.
Good morning. I'm Josephine Nyituriki. I'm journalist on Radio Imanzi.
Morning. My name is Iradukunda Reverie, Legal Affair in Rika.
Morning. I'm Nadine Eveline Mobjei, and I'm a journalist reporter working with Panorama Media.
Good morning. My name is Olive Nete, a journalist at RBA.
Good morning. My name is Julie Nasrida from Rika.
Good morning. I'm Kusi Asier. I'm working for Rika.
Good morning. I'm Philip Nzaire. I work with Rika.
Good morning. I'm Vincent Makanie, journalist.
Good morning. I'm Thierry Vendaishimier, journalist from Sango Star.
Morning. I'm Gaspard from Rika.
Good morning. Ildefonse Niragire. I work for Rika.
Good morning. My name is Savio Hachirumurame. I work with Rika.
Thank you, everyone. It was worth it, I said it, to have everyone recognized, because we really recognize every presence in here, in this event, in this celebration. As said, let me tell you a wrap up of the program we do have to follow today. As we come just to introduce ourselves, we are going to follow remarks from the Director General of Rika. She will be welcoming everyone in here so that we can feel at home. After her allocution, we will hear the opening remarks from NBR, National Bank of Rwanda. After that, we will go for a short photo session. And after we go for a coffee break, coming back from the coffee break, we will have a high-level panel discussion where we have panelists who will be trying to make us really dive into the subject of this day. After that, we will hear the closing remarks, and we go for lunch. But the day of celebration of this World Consumer Rights Day it will not be over yet, because we have community engagement mu byo twise inteko z'abaturage. Aho we do that in the afternoon, turaza kubaha a detailed program yuko biza kugenda. Ariko murumva ko at the point y'ibiganiro turarangiza mu saa sita tujye kuri lunch, hanyuma nyuma yaho tubaganirize uburyo ki tugiye gukora igikorwa cy'inteko z'abaturage. So without wasting any time again, allow me to invite the Director General of Rika to give her welcome remark to this assembly. Dear Director General, over to you now. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, moderator. Good morning, everybody.
Let me first of all wish you all a very good day of the World Competition Day, World Consumer Protection Day. Sorry, I'm confusing it because we do have, actually, we do have 2 main days in every year. We have a World Competition Day, and we also have a World Consumer Rights Protection Day. So sorry for that. Dear representative of the governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, dear representatives of the ministries here present in this event, dear DGs and representatives of different institutions present here in this event, I would like to welcome you to this event and also thank you very much for having responded to our invitation, because we have invited you to of Rwanda. We are happy to also celebrate the World Consumer Day with the theme, as the moderator said, the theme is fair digital finance. The theme intends to generate new consumer-centered insights and campaigns for digital finance that is accessible, affordable, inclusive, safe, private, and also sustainable. So we wish that the population of the country better understand the advantages of having the digital finance and how to use it, and also how to make it sustainable. Rwanda Inspectorate Competition and Consumer Protection Authority and its valuable stakeholders, including the National Bank of Rwanda, Rwanda Utility and Regulatory Authority, RURA, the Ministry of ICT, and Rwanda Consumers' Rights Organization, the core, are committed to put consumer protection at the heart of their work. We are also committed to overseeing the different pieces of legislation that protect consumers in digital finance, services, of registration that protect consumers in digital finance, and also making sure that they are implemented efficiently and effectively across the whole of the country. The National Strategy for Transformation, NST1, in its priority area number 5, provides that by 2024, 100% of government services will be delivered online. In this regard, technology in digital finance and consumer rights protection, consumer complaint handling will also be taken into consideration. The use of digital finance has significantly contributed to the prevention of the spread of COVID pandemic. I hope you all remember that this way of transactions that has made has significantly increased during this period. The use of digital finance has significantly contributed to the prevention of the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, as I said, and the online transactions have been encouraged. I also am not doubting that everybody here has seen it. The Ministry of Trade and Industry, together with RICA, have closely monitored the market to consumers. And the World Consumer Rights Day is a great opportunity to reflect on what we have learned from that period, and it helps us to weigh up consumer experience in digital world and share our experiences. Over the past 2 years, we have seen the use of digital finance rising considerably. Today, it is a good opportunity for RICA, together with the sector-specific regulatory authorities and other stakeholders, to reflect on whether our current regulations and that we to reflect whether the regulations are really working, and to see what we can improve in order to keep consumer rights at the heart of our work. Accompanying the shift to digital systems is a number of challenges that need to be been enacted within the Ministry of ICT to make all digital finance transactions more cyber resilient, and to protect consumer financial data, personal data. Although there is still a long way to go in matters pertaining with consumer rights protection in general, I'm very hopeful that with efforts deployed by the government of Rwanda and with the institutional spirit in collaboration between public sector, private sector, and civil society on the way forward, I'm hoping that we will all get there. So let me once again wish you all a very good day of World Consumer Rights. And I, again, thank you very much for having you all here together with us. Thank you.
I would ask you to put your hands together once again to thank the Director General for this insightful welcome remarks. She has talked a lot about the way forward for digital finance. Benshi kumvishe ibibazo byagiye bibyara ibisubizo ibyo bita opportunities. When a risk arises, definitely it is automatically tied to an opportunity. Na digital finance rero yavuze ukuntu byatugendekeye neza mu gihe cya COVID, nubwo yari tumereye nabi, ahubwo noneho ikintu cyitwa opportunity kikarisinga kivuye muri ikibazo cya COVID-19, aho twari turi dufite byanze bikunze obliged yo kuba turi mu rugo kugira ngo tubashe kugera ku byo twifuza. Rero abanyarwanda twese twataninze, twashiftinze tujya kuri momo nibyo. Rero iyo navango nibyo yasobanuraga, kandi natubwiye ko iyi collaboration that is being set hagati yabikorera ku giti cyabo, PSF na private sector, yemwe na civil society hamwe ndetse na public sector, yuko iyo nyabutatu ishyize hamwe niyo izatugeza ku byo twifuza muri iyi transactions za digital, aho hari na risks yavuzeho, ibibazo bimwe na bimwe bijyanye n'umutekano w'amakuru, bijyanye n'ingufu za network. Turaza kubiganirirwaho na our panelists. So let me now invite the representative of the governor of NBR to come and give us the opening remarks. They are the host, actually, of this theme. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, MC. Good morning. So my name is Nsabimana Gerard. I'm Director Market Conduct, the Central Bank of Rwanda. It is actually a new department that is in charge of the market behavior of financial institutions and the consumer protection. Dear Director General Rika, representatives from various ministries, representatives from various institutions, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, who was not able to make it due to other duties, so I would like to join hands with you to thank specifically Rika, Rula and the Corps, and as well as other partners for having worked tirelessly to organize this consumer rights period. I know we are just in the week of consumer rights, and on 15 specifically, we celebrate the World Consumer Rights Day as the entire world is doing. So in the past, normally the businesses tended to be profit-driven, so to maximize profits for shareholders. So, but they tended to forget that even these profits are given by consumers by buying their goods and products. So today now, as we are celebrate, so it is an opportunity to appreciate the consumers who bring to us money, so by trying to protect their rights. Let me also thank the partners here present that they chose a very good theme for fair digital finance. As it was said, I hope everybody here is enjoying digital financial services. So when we mean digital financial services, we include these mobile money services such as money transfer. We also include internet banking, so mobile banking, this POS you are seeing here outside there, and so on and so forth. So the meaning of World Consumer Rights Day is even more important and has a great meaning to the country of Rwanda. So after the enactment of the Financial Services Consumer Protection Law, which is number 017/2021, so that it was enacted in March last year. So the Consumer Protection Law normally touches on several principles that protect not only consumer of digital financial services, but also consumers of non-digital financial services. So if I try to mention some of them, we mention like transparency. So in the past, we used to have consumers consuming financial services without even knowing the prices. So the law came as an opportunity to request financial institutions, including mobile network operators, so to publish their prices. So I hope if you are going to trade with an agent, so you are able to see the prices listed, and probably you are able to select and make an informed decision. So the Consumer Protection Law also touches on the cost of financial services, so that in determining it, it should be fair and not detrimental to consumers. The transparency here, we are saying here, should also be extended. As you know, there are some products that are innovative by nature in our banking system, so what we call digital loans. So the transparency also should touch on those other products, so that if you are going to apply for a digital loan, you know what are the requirements, what are the processing procedures, so what are the timelines to get that loan, and probably what are the payment modalities. So in addition to that, so we are saying again, using your mobile money, so your accounts should be protected. So it means, So when there is an error that is caused by probably the mobile money remitted or Airtel, so and an error probably is taking away your money, so you should be refunded very quickly. So and probably if there is any fraud, it should be investigated, and you are refunded and compensated. So by the coming up of digital loans, we saw three important issues that I can mention here. So one is that we are still observing that digital loans are somehow very expensive. I don't know whether you see it. So, but again, this one is caused by the rate of default. So if you go to digital loans specifically, you find that these loans are normally expensive, but again, the rate of default is still very, very high. So as we fight this rate of default, I think probably their prices should be in the future reduced. So the other thing that is attached to digital loan, in some countries, not only in Rwanda, you find that people tend to be over-indebted. So they take too much loans with them, and probably at the end of the day, they face some challenges in paying those loans. So if we are going for digital, we should also be responsible to take those loans that you are able to pay and manage. So we are also saying that financial service providers providing advertisements of digital products should be responsible to tell the consumer the benefits, but at the same time, the risks associated with those products, and probably leave the consumer with the right probably to opt out if he does not want probably to continue to receive those advertisements. So as it was said by the previous speakers, we are also saying that for consuming digital financial services, the financial service providers should leave out the channels for consumers to be able to make some complaints. So if you are not satisfied with the services you are receiving, let the financial service provider give you the channels through which you can lodge your complaint, and probably your complaint should be able to be solved in a timely manner. We are also urging financial service providers. I saw SACCOs, I saw representatives of banks and microfinance institutions that while we are transacting digitally with consumers, so we should ensure that we provide a platform to them so that we can track their satisfaction levels. So we should periodically conduct some surveys to see whether consumers are really satisfied by our services or not. So lastly, but not the least, so we are also urging financial service providers to be able to empower their consumers. So because digital financial services, they've got some tricks. For example, if you are not able to protect your PIN, someone else can take it and be able to steal your money. So as we are going digitally, we should be able to empower consumers so that they can be aware of their rights and, of course, their obligations, but again, be able to protect them from fraud and other types of embezzlement. So today we have got cyber security whereby you've got phishing, hacking of the accounts. So it is the duty of the service providers and the government in general to be able to empower those consumers so that they cannot lose their money, because once they lose their money, so they will lose the appetite in using financial services. So as I conclude, let me once again thank Rika, Rura and the ADECOR, and together with the other partners, so for having worked tirelessly to organize this day. And on behalf of the governor, I assure you that we shall continue to work together especially in important areas such as consumer awareness and education, putting in place some regulations, implementing the consumer protection law. I know some participants here present, we have been able to share with them the draft regulations, and they provided their contributions, and we believe that in the near future, these regulations will be published. The central bank is also working tirelessly on some of the tools that can be used by the consumers, such as the web comparator. So we are developing the web comparator so that consumers can be able to compare prices of various financial services using the same platform. So I hope this platform will be launched very soon by the governor. So we are also working on a system that is related to complaints handling, so whereby we are expecting that consumers across the country will be able to lodge the complaint using one platform, so which is a very important step in this regard. Once again, on behalf of the governor, I give the assurance that we shall continue to work together. And with that, I declare open this World Consumer Rights Day in Rwanda. Thank you.
Please, another round of applause for the representative of the governor for, first of all, opening for us this celebration day, but as well, ku bintu byiza atugejejeho bijyanye n'umutekano cyane cyane wa transactions cyangwa se ubuguzi bubera ku mbuga cyangwa se online. Atubwiye ibibazo bijyana nabyo bitandukanye, ariko aduha n'icyizere. Ana ni naho hakomeye, aha icyizere abanyarwanda, kuko murabizi beneri hari n'abatajya babimenya yuko ari rwo rwego rushinzwe gukurikirana iriya sector ya financial, mbese regulatory, gukurikirana n'uvuga ngo n'ubugenzuzi, gushyiraho regulations cyangwa amabwiriza yandi agomba gukurikizwa kugira ngo iyi sector nayo ibashe kugira umurongo igenderaho, cyane cyane mu kurengera umuguzi, ariko ndetse no kuzamura ihiganwa mu bucuruzi muri iriya financial sector cyangwa mu bintu byerekeranye n'ubukungu. Arakoze cyane rero, atubwiye ibyerekeranye n'umutekano w'amakuru, atubwira ibyerekeranye na complaints cyangwa se ibibazo bijyana no kurenganwa k'umukiriya, uburyo ki bishobora guhabwa umurongo, ari nabyo cyane cyane twifuza ko uyu munsi umuconsumer cyangwa se umuguzi wa services zijyanye n'ubukungu agomba guhagurukira akamenya ko ashobora kubaza ikibazo afite, kuko kugeza no munota ni turi inyuma cyane muri iyi sector, aho umuguzi atazi neza ko afite uburenganzira bwo kuzamura ijwi hanyuma agatanga ikibazo kijyanye n'akarengane yaba yagize. Aradufashije rero kuduha umurongo, kandi tumaze iminsi dukorana n'ibyo yavugaga n'izindi nzego zishinzwe ubugenzuzi butandukanye bugamije kurengera umuguzi, yuko ibikorwa byinshi biri gukorwa kugira ngo uru rwego sector ijyanye n'ubukungu ibashe kugwa neza umuguzi wabwo. Rero numvise ijambo riranyubatse ngewe ku cyanya giti, kandi ndizera ko ryubatse n'umuconsumer wese bo turi bo, kuko mu buryo bumwe cyangwa ubundi twese turi aba consumers. Ladies and gentlemen, now allow me to tell you that the next point on the program is the photo shoot, the photo session that will take place outside over there. The protocol team will show you. That's why I would like just to ask you to rise and follow the protocol team. Afterwards, we will enter into a very, very interesting part of this program, which is the panel session, where we will have our panelists talking a lot about what is happening in our country from all corners, public, private, and civil society. They'll be telling us what is really happening and what's the way forward, most importantly. So after the photo shoot, we go for a coffee break, and we come back very stronger and more focused than ever to follow that panel. Thank you so much. We see you a little bit later in a few minutes. Thank you. Like promised earlier, before we go to photo session, I promised you that we're going to have maybe the most interesting part of this celebration, which is the panel session. I would like just to tell you that for this session to be fruitful, we expect our exchanges to be as interactive as possible. So we are free to use whatever language we feel most comfortable in for the audience to participate. Tumva wenda icyongereza turagerageza dufashanye, ariko turebe ko iyi session twayibyazamo iyi mbuto twifuza kuyibyazamo, kuko niwo mutima mu by'ukuri w'ibi biganiro by'uyu munsi. Rero twatoranyije aba panelists bacu ku buryo bwimbitse. Twatekereje kwinjira muri ya nyabutatu mbumbe dutezeho amakiriro mu rwego rwo kurengera umuguzi muri iyi sector ya financial y'ubuko. Twiyemeje ko igomba gusobeka imirya ngo ibashe kuduha umusaruro tuyitezeho, akaba ari abigenga, civil society, ariko harya civil society nta kuntu umuntu yavuga mu Kinyarwanda, imiryango yigenga kandi ari imiryango itagengwa na leta. Yego, societe civile bwo ni imiryango itagengwa na leta. Yego, itagengwa na leta, idashamikiye kuri leta. None se ko so I'm the confused. Ariko ndi kubaza ADECO uburyo kinabishyira mu Kinyarwanda neza kugira ngo wenda n'abandi badukurikiye batubyumve. Iyi nyabutatu rero nari nivuze ngo ni abigenga, leta ndetse n'imiryango idashamikiye kuri leta nk'uko ADECO abimfashije. Twatoranyijemo rero aba panelists b'abahanga babifitemo uburambe buri umwe mu gice akoramo, kugira ngo baduhe koko umusaruro tubitezeho. Nagira ngo munyemerere rero mpamagare aba panelists bacu baze hano kuri stage. Reka mpere kuri duhereye muri public sector cyangwa se muri leta, mu nzego zishamikiye kuri leta. Twatekereje cyane cyane guhera kuri policy making nuva muri iyi domain, muri dufata urwego rwaba ruhagarariye policy making kugira ngo rudufashe gutekereza byimbitse strategic direction to expedite the digitization of government services and ensure citizen empowerment and satisfaction in service accessibility and delivery. Angelos previously served as the Acting Director General of Innovation and Business Development Department of the Ministry of ICT, where he led the innovation portfolio and the use of imaging technology in addressing country overarching challenges. He holds a master's in software engineering and a bachelor degree in electronic and communication, clasped in by strong background in policy development, business analytics, project management, and technology innovation design. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Angelos on stage. Our second panelist will come from the private sector. Muri ya nyabutatu nari mbaze kuvuga mu hejuru, ukurikiyeho araturuka mu bigenga. Uyu munsi bijyanye na theme yacu, insanganyamatsiko yacu ya digital finance, dufite MTN. Reka mpamagare Kajener Christian. Christian is currently the head of strategy, product and services in MTN. He joined MTN Momo from Equity Bank, where he was serving as head of payment with the key functions including mobile banking, internet banking, e-commerce, remittances, diaspora banking, agency banking, merchant acquiring, cards business issuing, and social project strategic partnership. But prior to that, Christian served as with Ericsson as the MMA East African region, with MTN as customer unit in Rwanda, Zambia, and the Kingdom of Eswatini. In this role, he was in charge of ECW, araza kutubwira what it stands for, digital services, new sale and pre-sales. Christian holds a master's in business administration and leadership from the African Leadership University School of Business and Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Telecommunication from the former University of Rwanda College of Science and Technology, former KIST. Please, a round of applause for Christian as he step up to the stage. Muri ya nyabutatu rero navuze tugeze kuri civil society. Uyu munsi dufite amahirwe yo kuba turi kumwe na Damien Ndayizeye waturutse muri ADECOR. Who is he? Damien is the executive secretary of the Rwanda Consumers' Rights Protection Organization, ADECOR, chairperson of the National Food Fortification Alliance, council member of Consumer International, board member of the Rwanda National Dairy Platform. His duty and responsibility are to lead the entire organization, planning strategy and development plans for the welfare of ADECOR. He has been heavily involved in several lobbying and advocacy and campaigns, events to promote and protect consumers' rights in Rwanda, being part of different policies and laws for the welfare of consumers in Rwanda. With background, he holds a bachelor's degree in computer science, an international advanced diploma in information and communication technology, obtained from the NCC in United Kingdom. His training courses vary from food safety, quality given by the Wageningen University, economic, social, and cultural rights by University of Johannesburg, policy analysis and advocacy skills by China Ministry of Commerce, consumer rights promotion, quality and standards given by ISO. So let us welcome on stage Mr. Damien. On the other hand, we have a regulatory authority. Kuri rwa ruhande muri ya nyabutatu navuze kuri policy mu rwego rw'inzego zishamikiye kuri leta. Ubu noneho mu nzego zishamikiye kuri leta tugiye kuri regulatory authority, aho urwego ruhagarariye ruza kudufasha kwinjira muri iyi theme, muri iyi nsanganyamatsiko ari BNR. Rero uyu munsi turaba dufite Frank Kajungu from NBR, akaba ari manager financial sector conduct and consumer protection in NBR, board audit committee member of Rwanda Demobilization and Reintegration Commission, certified public accountant, and member of Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Rwanda. Please, let us welcome Kajungu. So, like I promised, we have now all the members of this panel present here on the stage. As I promised, I said we're gonna just use indimi zose uko bishoboka for kugira ngo abanyarwanda babashe kudukurikira uko byashoboka kose. Nyuma his session turifuza ko na audience muza kutwemerera mukinjira muri ibi biganiro. Nagira ngo mpere kuri ADECOR nkuko mwabyumvise ni abavugira abaguzi, ni advocacy muri ya miryango twavugaga ngo imiryango idashingiye kuri leta. So Mr. Damian, consumer as beneficiaries of digital payment services are key stakeholders in the digital means of payment. What are the prospects and challenges for consumers of digital financial services and consumers' trust in digital services?
Thank you, moderator. Thank you, participants. Thank you, all of us. All of us, we are consumers. And today is our day. We have to celebrate our day, Consumer Right Day 2022. Fair digital financial services. First of all, I would like to thank the government of Rwanda for taking this initiative to empower consumer in digital financial in Rwanda. Fair digital financial services has improved life of all consumers in Rwanda. All of us, we know before introducing ICT in Rwanda, you know how the life was very difficult. But up to now, we are enjoying digital services everywhere. So consumer, yes, are benefiting consumer services, but also we have challenges in consumer services. Some of them are related to fraud. Yeah, there is some fraud. And also consumers, they don't trust different features, different smart products, because if we see how service provider introduce different features or product at the market, somehow consumers don't aware about the smart products. So even when they use the smart products, they tend to be educated by the neighbors, but not the service provider. So consumer need to be educated because there is an issue of digital financial literacy in Rwanda. So it's why the National Bank of Rwanda, in partnership with RICA and Consumer Association, have introduced this financial literacy at national level. Challenges are many. Some of them are related to network downtimes. If you go at the ATM machine, you will look at service providers, banks have removed the keys in the bank and introduced the key outside the bank. So when there is no internet at the ATM, consumer have to go inside the bank. And you will see all ATM are at the bank, not at the community level, at grassroots level. So we need a service provider to put those ATM machine everywhere, so that consumer can access to ATM machine. So this is one. Another one is related to complaint resolution. So see a consumer who is, for example, in Nyaruguru, he has a problem with Momo Cash, mobile money. And when he has a complaint, he has to come to see MTN or Airtel in Kigali. This is a big issue because, one, the lose of money, transport facilitation, and the other I think what service provider, they have to look at all issues related to services to reach all consumers, even not only in town, but also in a rural area. We have an issue of service center. Service center are only in town. So for the service center, we hope that operators have to have representative also in the sector, at the sector level, in the rural area. If you introduce different products, different features, smart products, we need all Rwandan to access to all service provided to consumer. Smart financial services, as I said, are only in town. And also at commercial bank, the MFI, the client for MFI, they also not access to digital financial services. Why? We know about 60% of Rwandan, they use SACCOs. They are in sector. And they need also to access to these digital financial services. So as partners, service providers, public, we know that we have a PPC, public-private partnership. Now, consumers organization has a wish so that it could be PPCP, public-private consumer partnership. Consumers have many issues, so they have to report day to day to regulators. How they report if they don't have the service center. For example, the National Bank of Rwanda. You are in Kigali. You are working in town. Consumers have to know where they can report their complaints. Issue of complaint resolution. Consumer want to withdraw the money and them to resolved in some agents. Consumer reported that some agents have limited amount of efforts. And with agent also on consumer side. There is no, they don't know how to report because they complaints are somehow not resolved when they trust the consumer association, but when we report it to regulators, they don't report easily. They don't resolve the complaint easily. No feedback from the regulators. Lack of skills among consumers. For example, customer care principles and practices related to service. Consumers, they need to be to work and to receive feedback from agent, but agent also don't have some skills related to digital financial services. What we have seen is that we want digital financial services to empower consumers where they are, everywhere. We want digital financial services to be trusted, to be safe, to be inclusive. To be inclusive because digital financial services, everyone have to be have to have a service, and everyone, including vulnerable people, women and vulnerable people, have to use these digital financial services. And when they create features, products, they forget that we have vulnerable people who cannot use those features. So those are some of the problems consumers organizations have raised about digital financial services. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ariko se iyo urebye mukanya warudubwiye uti regulatory authorities yemwe na cyane service providers bazino services financial ziri digital amana transactions ntago babona uko bafiling a complaint, batanga ibibazo byabo bijyanye n'akarengane bagiriwe. Navuze nibaza ese mwebwe nka call nk'umuryango udashamikiye kuri leta ukora advocacy, ubuvugizi ku baguzi, mwebwe mufite ibihe bikorwa bigenda biganisha muri uwo mujyo wo gufasha umuguzi kurenganurwa cyane cyane afite yagize ibibazo? Ese nakibaza se niba muri Nyaruguru umuguzi ahagiriye ikibazo, usibye kubura MTN murenganura wenda na Beneri, aho ibona n'umuvugizi witwa Adecor. Ese Adecor ikwira igihugu cyose cyangwa se hari uburyo kimufite bw'imikorere nyine ubwo bushobora kujyana n'iyo growth, ubwo n'ubwo kuntu dukeneye gukura ngo inzego zose z'anyabutatu zirika igihugu cyose kugira ngo tubashe gufasha umuguzi? Ni icyo kibazo nagira ngo udufashe kumva.
Murakoze. Adecor ikorana n'inzego zose kandi ikora mu turere, ifite abayihagarariye mu turere hose, aho ubuvugizi bugera ku muguzi, ku consumer wese, kuko igikorwa cya mbere ni ukwigisha. Tubigisha tugafatanya n'inzego zibanze kugira ngo tugeze amakuru n'uburenganzira bw'umuguzi ku muguzi ahari hose. Mu turere rero hariya hasi dufite abaduhagarariye, twagize amahirwe ture extending ibikorwa byacu hariya hasi ku buryo dufite abantu 30 buri karere bahagarariye abandi mu rwego rwo kuvuganira abaguzi. Abo bantu 30 rero niho batugezaho ibibazo bitandukanye bijyanye n'uburenganzira bw'umuguzi. Iyo tugiye rero ku insanganyamatsiko y'uyu mwaka ku burenganzira bw'umuguzi, hari ibibazo byinshi mbere y'uko ni insanganyamatsiko itangwa. Hari ibibazo byinshi byatugezeho bijyanye n'ubuguzi. Twese turi abaguzi ko turi hano kandi duhura n'ibyo bibazo. Ibyo dukeneye bya mbere bijyanye n'ikoranabuhanga, ikibanze nuko babanza kwigisha umuguzi, bakamwereka uko bikora nuko bikoreshwa mbere y'uko bijya ku isoko. Icyo rero cyagumye kugaragara aho abakoresha nka ATM nk'uko nabivuze, akenshi baba bafite code cyangwa password bakoresha, ariko bikamugora, bigasaba ko asaba mugenzi we uri ku ruhande akamwereka password kugira ngo abikuze amafaranga. Ibyo rero byakomeje kugaragara, naho ATM ziri ntabwo mu by'ukuri batanga amakuru ngo baragaragaze ikigomba kugenderwaho kugira ngo umuntu abikuze cyangwa abitse amafaranga ye. Amakuru arahishe henshi hirya no hino aho za ATM ziri, amakuru arahishe. Bisaba ko rero abari mu icyo gikorwa cyo gutanga service bashyira amakuru ahagaragara kugira ngo umuguzi ahari hose ayabone kandi ayakoreshe. Ikindi nk'uko wari ubivuze, ese abaguzi tubageraho dute kugira ngo bahabwe service nziza kandi babonye amakuru ku buryo buhagije? Hari ibiganiro bitangwa dukoresheje n'izi nzego ziri hano zateguye iki gikorwa. Hari ibiganiro byatanzwe, ariko nino hari n'amahugurwa yakozwe ku bufatanye na Minisiteri y'Ubucuruzi n'Inganda, duhugura abacuruzi ndetse n'abaguzi kugira ngo bamenye uburenganzira bwabo ndetse n'inshingano zabo. Ku bijyanye rero n'ikoranabuhanga, ni byiza, hari aho twavuye ndetse hari aho tugeze ahashimishije, ndetse hari n'ibigaragara ko abaguzi bishimira gukoresha ikoranabuhanga, ariko hari n'igituma haba imbogamizi, bamwe ntibinjire mu gukoresha ikoranabuhanga, cyane cyane iyo amafaranga y'ikiguzi cyo gukoresha ikoranabuhanga ashyirwa hejuru cyane. Turasaba rero ko inzego zibishinze kugira ngo zigabanye ikiguzi cyo gukoresha ikoranabuhanga kugira ngo abanyarwanda twese twibonemo. Ikindi, gukangurira kureba imbogamizi abadamu bahura nazo ndetse n'abafite ubumuga, kuko iyo bakora product zijyanye n'ikoranabuhanga, hari abo batitabwaho, cyane cyane abafite ubumuga, nabo bakeneye nabo gukoresha ikoranabuhanga. Ese iri koranabuhanga ryabageraho riti ko nabo barikeneye? Kandi turabafite benshi batugezaho ibibazo bakavuga bati natwe dukeneye kudatwara amafaranga mu mufuka, dukeneye gukoresha iri koranabuhanga. ese kuki mutabwira MTN ngo ishireho wenda uburyo bwo gukoresha telefone iri braille, ifite braille ku buryo cyangwa ATM ifite braille, ko mu mujyi wa Kigali ni kure, ariko babishize mu ntara mu cyose kijyanye n'ikoranabuhanga mu bigo by'imari kikabona aho gikemuka kitabanje kuzi mu mujyi wa Kigali. Ibyo byaba igisubizo bijyanye n'ikoranabuhanga. Ikindi ni byiza ko tumanuka ntitukorere mu mujyi wa Kigali gusa, kuko abakeneye ibisubizo ntabwo bari mu serivisi hirya no hino mu gihugu, mu mirenge hose serivisi ijyanye n'ikoranabuhanga ihagera.
Urakoze cyane. Ku bisubizo ndetse navuga ko hari n'ibibazo usa n'ubajije. Let us expect that next panelists will try as much to answer them and to intervene. So, Angelos, you come from a policy-making institution. You set the politic. So we follow you. We implement the policy you make, right? So I would, last year, the cabinet approved the strategy on digital payment. How is it being implemented, and what are the key success factors in implementing the state strategy? What is the success story of that strategy? Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, moderator. And maybe before I touch that question that you've asked, so I want to give a background. So I think DG Rika mentioned it actually in the morning, where the National Strategy for Transformation 1 sets some targets that we have to achieve. So among these targets, the first one, as she mentioned, is actually that by 2024, all services have to be digitalized, and citizens can be able to access them 24/7. Because when a service is digital, you can access it anytime. That's the first target. The second target is to ensure that all Rwandans, adult people, are financially included, all of them. The third one is to make sure that 80% of payment, electronic payment, all are done digitally. So when you have these targets, of course, you have to put in place policies and roadmap to ensure that you reach that target set by the country. And among the first policies that were adopted, the first is RNDPS, yes, which is the Rwanda National Digital Payment Strategy, and it was spearheaded by, of course, BNR with participant of our ministry as well as the Ministry of Finance. And I think it was adopted in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So when you look into the objective, the end goal of that policy was interoperability. To ensure that if today I have mobile money, let's say MTN wallet in my phone, and I want to pay someone who has Airtel money, a wallet from Airtel, it's possible. It wasn't possible before, but this is a consumer right. So if I'm a consumer, I should be able to pay regardless on the operator. That's an example on, let's say, the operators, telecom operators. But this should be even applied on even the bank and other MFIs. So I would say that that policy have actually helped us to ensure that that interoperability is there, because now I can be able to pay. But also it has helped us to have, I think Adekon mentioned it, to have discounted or even zero-rated a charge when, for example, I want to push or pull money from my bank account to my wallet. Let's say I have a bank account in any of the banks in Rwanda, and I want to pull the amount from the bank account to my wallet. So now it's free of charge. I can do those transaction push and pull seamlessly. And this, I would say that it's a very good step that we've been able to make. So those are something that we can say that we are happy that at least we've been able to achieve by now in terms of ensuring interoperability and also ensuring that at least the cost is affordable. Yes, but going forward even, I want to give another example. For now, when we talk about the formal and informal sector in Rwanda, we have close to 11% of formal sector, and the remaining 89% is informal sector, which means only people in the formal sector are being paid through banks and other MFIs. But for the informal sector, those people who get, let's say, a daily wage or pay, it's hard for them to be onboarded in bank services. Sometimes, except the ones that are in SACCOs, the remaining ones, they are not onboarded on any of the MFIs, but they account for a big percentage of our people in Rwanda. So we are also thinking on how we can push different digital services, the likes of mobile money, kind of, that really goes down deep to the grassroots level to ensure that those people are onboarded. They are able to do different financial services, including payment, saving, lending services, insurance kind of services, investment, all those services. So we are working with the different partners here, BNL, Capital Market Authority, among many others, to have a fintech policy that will really spark and expedite the development of the financial services in Rwanda. And through that policy, we'll be able to incentivize and support made in Rwanda solutions, but also attract different other solutions that are helping us to address the challenges that our citizens are facing and ensure that everyone is included financially. So that's what I can say so far. But on the other question that my colleague from ADECO asked, so I wanted to provide some feedback. There was an issue related to network, and I think this is a problem that we usually work with BNR and Drura as well as operators to ensure that that challenge is resolved. It's possible that we may have network issue in a certain area, but we have to ensure that that problem is resolved as soon as we can. So the other one is charge on digital finance. I know for consumers, they always push to have a free service, but again, this is not very good. And yet also, when it's being done, implemented, there's a lot of financial crimes that come along. I think my colleagues from BNR or MTN will touch on it. Last time when in the first lockdown, I think, they were, BNR supported to waive the fee on all digital transaction, but we've realized that some agent and some other people were benefiting from that zero rate to do some financial crime, and usually a service comes with a cost, but maybe a reasonable cost that is affordable. So that's maybe what I can mention, and my colleagues will complement. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hari akantu nshaka kubaza gatoya gajyanye na, urabona yigeze kwivugaho ADECO bijyanye na education y'abanyarwanda, level ya education, hari n'ibyo byavuga ngo technology shy, aho ubona kugira ngo umuturage yaffording technology urebe n'umuntu wize iyo ugiye gusoma akantu karimo technology ari ukuntu mwiyaranja mukabikomplika bigahinduka ibintu rwose no kubisoma ubwabyo ntabwo byorohera umuntu. Njya mbibona sometimes muri organizations zitandukanye bazana agatool ka IT ariko abantu bakoraho bagataruka. Ni iki giteganywa muri policy ku rwego rwa policy level kuzamura iyi myumvire no kuzamura ubushobozi bw'abantu gukoresha electronic na digital finance nibyo turi kuvuga, ariko ibikorwa byose turi kwikorera online. So mubifite gute muri ministeri? Murabibona ni iki kijya mbere? Murakoze.
Yeah, thank you so much. I actually forgot to touch on that. So that's a very good question, and also I think NS1 also sets targets on that, where by 2024, 60% of adult people have to be digital literate. So with that, we have a policy called Digital Talent Policy, and it gives different actions in terms of upskilling citizens in Rwanda. And we have a program called Digital Ambassadors Program, where we have a digital ambassador per cell in Rwanda. And most of the time, those are young people from high secondary schools who usually helps us to upskill the community with all those I would call digital skills that would enable them to, let's say, to even request the services online. Because if you look into the vision of our country, where we want all services to be digitalized, so it's imperative that even our citizens have to have this knowledge and be able to access the services online. So then I would say that it's still a journey, but we are working on it to ensure that across the country, at least our people are digitally literate. But it's not only the part of digital, but even financial literacy is needed for them. So with that, I'll give a very simple example. With the complaint that the citizens have been filing, we have seen that most of them are based on low level of digital and financial literacy. I'll give an example of mobile money, where a citizen usually receive maybe a message from someone telling him, I've sent you money by mistake, please give me back the money. And even the recipient is not checking his balance on the phone, but directly sending that amount to that guy. So you see, that's an issue, a problem that we are facing that can be resolved through digital and financial literacy, so that people have that capability and they are able to do very, I would say, simple tasks on themselves. So the other thing that we are doing also, I think we have a campaign called Get Safe Online, where we have the National Cybersecurity Authority, the National Bank of Rwanda, all of us involved to ensure that we are promoting the awareness and to ensure that citizens know how they can be safe online. Thirdly, we are also working with the operator and the service providers, because also they have that mandate to ensure that if there is a product, a service put on market, so they should also work to ensure that citizens have a knowledge on how they can use that service. So I would say that the digital and financial literacy is a key component in terms of accelerating the adoption of cashless in Rwanda. Thank you.
Thank you so much for answering very well those questions. And I guess the audience will come ask more. I think we do have a lot of questions about that issue. But in the meantime, let's go to NBR. We have been receiving some complaints. I mean, verbal complaints saying that NBR don't actually go between the consumer and the financial institutions to focus on the consumer of those financial services. And that raises a lot of complaints that should be really be addressed to NBR as the regulatory authority. So how are you planning to approach the complaint handling process of NBR? Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe to start with, I would like to first to bring to the attention of the audience that National Bank of Rwanda, through Ministry of Finance, enacted a new law the Financial Service Consumer Protection Law in March last year. And among a lot of the components and principles that it has, it also has that aspect of transparent complaints handling. Maybe to go straight to answer your question, NBR previous and currently, it's the one that is handling what we call the external dispute resolution, which is when a complaint is lodged to a certain FSP or financial service provider, and then they fail to agree at a certain level, they bring the complaint to National Bank of Rwanda for to resolve that complaint. So the process is transparent, as we said. What we do, we investigate, depending on the nature of the complaint, gathering different information from different stakeholders, be it the complainant himself or herself, be it the financial service providers and other partners, because some complaints involve actually different stakeholders. So ultimately what happened, actually doing a countrywide awareness to make sure that consumers are aware of their rights, but not only their rights, but also obligations, because you cannot talk about rights when someone is also not fulfilling their obligations. So, but apart from that, we're also coming up with artificial intelligence system, which is called complaints handling and customer engagement, where all the complaints across the country will be lodged through that system, and then the system is able to direct complaints to different financial service providers, and then the NBR. But later, as I said before the enactment of the law, because the law also introduced a committee in charge of complaints handling that will be separate from National Bank of Rwanda, because the law gives the responsibility to National Bank of Rwanda to do the supervisory, to be the supervisory authority, to check the compliance with the provisions of the law. But the part of the complaints handling will be left with the committee that will be set up by a ministerial order in charge of complaints handling. So what the system will be doing, the system will be able to allocate different cases. Those are the primary complaints, where a consumer is claiming about a complaint, a dissatisfaction to a financial service provider, and then the system is able to alert this financial service provider that a client has lodged a complaint. So you have this time to respond. So if they fail to agree, the client can use the same system to escalate the case now to the committee in charge. And the committee will, of course, have different experts that will be representing different stakeholders that concerns financial service providers. So that's what we've been doing, and that's what we're planning to do, and that's what the law provides. And we hope it will ultimately improve on the complaints handling, most especially on the transparency part of it. Because what we've actually also observed is sometimes the complaints handling procedure and process is not transparent, because you lodge a complaint and then you don't know what happens behind the scenes, or even sometimes you are not responded to. So we hope that today we are talking of digital finance services. So we hope that digital channels are able to resolve a lot of the issues that we see around. Because if I'm able to lodge my complaint through a digital channel, so the system is able to monitor that, and of course remind people that you are becoming late to.
Do your customers know about that framework of handling complaints? If they do know, why do we have a lot of complaints about your services on social media and elsewhere, where all customers can just file the customers? Please, can you?
Network of handling process in Rwanda, and I'll explain why. We have a call center that works 24/7. We have services around 36 in the country.
Under service centers, we have what we call MTN Connect Shop, which are kind of mini service centers. They're around 87 in the country. Currently active, they're around 73. Below MTN Connect Shop, we are opening what we have called Express Shop. The target is to have in every district in the country, 416 times 2, almost 832 in the whole country. Below that, we have kiosk, where they also receive complaint. They have a free line to call center, service center. We have a whole escalation matrix. Kiosk, they're around 3,500. FOMO, because there's what we deploy in the market, and there's what people create. They just paint it and all that. We have, in total, 68,000 agents. They are our ambassadors. When Mini ICT presented to us the DAP project, Digital Ambassadors Project, we told them we are more than willing to convert all these agents into digital ambassadors. And I think one of the discussion before we start here, I was explaining to them that we have created ambassadors at each level, at Isibo level, Mudugudu village level, district level, Akagari level, and all that upwards. And they have a certain accountability matrix. And we have also social media handling. We have a team of 224 call center agents. Partly, the social media handling has increased, especially in COVID in the last 2 years, where we have people that write. Some of them, most of them are young people. They don't have what to do. They're always writing to us, and we have the right to answer to them. And we are soon launching, because that is becoming cost negative to us, because we have people sitting to handle issues. We want to create a chatbot. I don't know if you know about a chatbot on Messenger, which is a sort of IVR, but more in text. So that's what we do. We also have an email where people can send their complaint. However, we still have a challenge. If you notice, there's manual and social and online, but you realize when it comes to consumer protection or consumer rights, as we're celebrating today, there's someone in Yamagabe, there's someone in Kigeme refugee camp, or Mahama, where sometimes it's not just accessibility to support, but also you forgot to interpret. You put your content in English, you put them on internet, and you realize in places, last week I was at a place called Mhanga. I don't know if many, I think it's the largest district in Rwanda, Mhanga in Kirehe, Mukarere ka Kirehe. Very far to the border to Tanzania. There's no network. Because people, it's a very plain area. The market happens once in a week, but then people scatter. So you won't go where will you put a tower? So what we as a feedback when we are there, whenever there is Isoko Day, we bring a mobile tower, people can do activation, and when they're distributing money, because they have so many social impact activities, we have committed to that. Because we had, before COVID, we had 2 mobile towers. We have invested 2 more that can help in such activities, especially when we're working with partners like Give Directly, or UNCDF, or UNHCR, or WFP. When they are distributing money, a network becomes a challenge. And we are working on that. Now, why is MTN a target? COVID made us successful. There's so many bad things about COVID, but we saw a big rise in usage. I think from 2.7 million to 4 million customer active on Momo today. And we still have an addressable market up to 6.5. So we have a gap of almost 2.5 million that we need altogether in this room to address. We need to localize our content. I think I liked what you say, the MC. Human nature tends to complicate things. I don't know why. What we are selling is easy. At the end of the day, what a customer wants, he wants to get his money back. How you do it, I don't care. If I send my money, I need it back. If I sent it to the wrong number. If I want to use it, and you realize even a grandmother of 76 or 80 that did not go to school, doing a P2P, what we call peer transaction, it's not difficult. It's really not difficult. What we have also created through what we call our ambassadors, which is risky. So you realize there's an old man that lives, let's say, in Nyamagabe. Can I say this in Kinyarwanda? Ugasanga hari umukecuru utuye Nyamagabe, ntazi gusoma ntazi kwandika. Ariko afite umu agent yizeye ufite pin ye. Ajya mugendaho akabwira ati numvisha ka message kavuga. Menya umwana wanjye yanyohereje. Akamugendaho ni ufite pin ye. Akamubikuriza akayamuha. Those are challenges that we're still facing. And I don't think in this room you guys understand how many people as such are. Because not even our digital financial literacy is below 50%, but even literacy to read is still low. So what we need to work on, and I'm glad this platform and today's conversation, and not just be just for the sake of an event because it's World Consumer Rights Day, the challenge I'm throwing here, how can we make that content easy and accessible to all those people? And I think community radio is a good channel, which we have started. We can always have another session to brainstorm, but this is what we are doing. It's not enough, but what has happened, mobile money has grown exponentially. Handling that takes a lot of resources, so many hours, but in a nutshell, this is what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think this is very interesting. Digital literacy, it really is becoming a big issue. I think it's maybe the time for the audience as well to debug in this good conversation. I would like to give a chance to a lot of many members of this audience to just give us ideas or ask questions to the panelists as you wish. Please feel free. If there is an idea, if there is a question, try to address the panelists, please. Yes, Theo.
Murakoze. Mu by'ukuri wumva ibiganiro bimwe biratangwa, wumva ibintu byose bipanze neza, amategeko, inzego, wumva bisa nkaho bimeze biri ku murongo. Ariko twajya muri implementation ugasanga harimo ikibazo, kandi akenshi niho bigaragara. Ikibazo cya mbere, by the way, sinzi impamvu mutatumiye na RIB yagomba kuba nayo iri hano, kuko akenshi ibibazo binaniranye yose nibo babyohereza, kandi uriya muturage kujya aho ajya gutonda kuri RIB abaza bigeze he, usanga ari n'ikindi kibazo gikomeye cyane. Ndavuga ibintu nka bibiri. Implementation yo yenda yo guhanduringa complaints ziba zagezweho. Umuturage avuye araguhamagaye, by the way nitwa Theoneste Njangwe, nkora muri Rura, nkaba nkuriye ishami rishinzwe kurengera abaguzi muri sector to regulating. So harimo rero na ICT. Abaturage baraduhamagara ati nagize ikibazo banyibye amafaranga, bantwaye kuri momo. Akenshi babatwara amafaranga umuturage yabigizemo uruhare nawe, kuko pin ye ni ubizi niki, ariko noneho bakaguhana nimero y'umuntu amutwaye amafaranga. Na ejo bundi rero twahuye, yagiye amafaranga bamaze kuyatwara bayohereza no kuri account ya bank. Atwaye kuri momo, ahise ayohereza kuri account ya bank. Urumva umuntu kumutrackinga kugira ngo namufate biroroshye cyane. Turagera duhamagaye, kamagara umuntu wa mbere wihutira guhamagara ni service itumanaho MTN cyangwa iki, bakareba n'izo nimero. Umuturage aramubwira ikintu cya mbere tumbwira ngo gana MTN. Enda niba ari mu ntara gana service center, n'icyo urumva ko inzego zihari kugera ku isibo, ariko akenshi baramubwira ngo jya kuri headquarter niba gukemura icyo kibazo. Ibyo bigatwara ikindi gihe kugira ngo azagere kuri headquarter. yagera kuri ediko turumva amafaranga yaba yaramaze kugenda amaze gukurwa n'ibindi kuyatrackinga biba bigoye cyane. Yagera kuri MTN, ikintu MTN yamubwira ati rero harimo ubujura, ajya kuri RIB. Ubwo afere birangiriye aho ngaho. Cyangwa jya kuri banke bakurikirane barebe uwo muntu niki. Uwo muturage kugira ngo ajye no kuri banke nanone. Banke murabizi ibintu bikora ni byinshi cyane. So ugasanga still haracyariho icyo kibazo cyo kurenganura umuconsumer, cyano ntizihari zihagije. Ugasanga umuturage ikintu kenshi natwe twitwa wenda ko dusobanutse, hari ureba ukabara ukavuga ati tu ndarekeye, ndarekeye sinabivamo. So nisabiraga rero abari hano kugira ngo turebe ukuntu twagira uwo murongo mwiza, habaho iyo mikoranire. Beneri niba indembe ngira ikibazo inteje ikibazo, Beneri nzajya kurebaza Beneri gute, nzaca zabaza nde? Abushize twari kumwe muri training ndabya Beneri umanutse hariya ntunashaka no kurebayo kuko ubona nyine biteye ubwo no kuhareba. Noneho niba afite n'ikibazo kugira ngo nzajye kubabya ngo nagize ikibazo na banki runaka, n'ikindi kibazo gikomeye cyane. So rero ndumva uyu munsi wadufasha kugira ngo twisubireho turebe, dufashanye nk'inzego zishinzwe kurengera abaguzi, twahindura imikoranire yacu kugira ngo turenganure consumers bacu, kuko nibo batumye turiho kandi nibo dushinzwe kureberera. Bive mu madiskuru, bive mu matraining ya buri gihe, mu manama buri gihe, ahubwo bijye mu bikorwa. Bijye mu bikorwa, habeho cyane tujye no ku maradi n'umuturage amenye ngo MTN nabibwiye amafaranga yanjye yambwiye ngo ninjye muri banki ndabaza ndi ababizi. Rura twe tugira n'amahirwe ku modoka zacu, imodoka zose haba hari n'imirongo ihamagarwa, ku buryo n'ibibazo bitatureba abaturage twe bacaho. Bikasaba gukora orientation. Izindi nzego bite Rika, Bener, please. MTN arimo aracuruza, ni ukuvuga ngo tugomba kubera uriya muturage kuhamubera. Ikibazo gihari cya MTN na bank cyangwa Airtel na bank, amafaranga ndayohereje nyavanye kuri telefone nyohereje kuri account yanjye, biragaragara ko mbonye message ko amafaranga yagiye, ariko kuri bank kuri account ntagezeyo. Nabaza MTN ati bitata, ariko twebwe biragaragara ko amafaranga yagiye. Hariho muri historique ya momo gasanga amafaranga yagiye kuri account muri bank, ariko wagera muri bank gasanga amafaranga naragera. Ayo mafaranga ari he? Niba najya muri bank ikambwira ati ntayo tubona, umunsi wa mbere uwa kabiri nari school fees nagomba kwishyura nubwo byakemutse kubishyurira, cyangwa wenda n'umuntu agomba gutwera, cyangwa n'umukecuru agomba gufasha, biratwaye iminsi 2-3 y'icyumweru. Icyo gihe hagati aho ngaho nubwo yaboneka, izo ndishyi z'akabaro nzazibaza nde? MTN zazibaza bank. So urumva ni ikibazo gikomeye cyane, numva nanone twatekerezaho kugira ngo duhindure imikoranire yacu. Murakoze.
Urakoze cyane. Reka twakire 5 interventions, noneho murazo twabya mwandika. Ubwo ahangaha Frank na Christian, ubwo munizere ko mwagashyize ahantu. Ariko ngira ngo njangwe Theo atwinjije mu bushyuhe bw'ikiganiro. Reka twakire izindi interventions enye zidufashe. Urakoze cyane Emmanuel, zidufashe kumva neza no kwinjira muri iyi nsanganyamatsiko.
Murakoze.
Uratwibwira tuvuge naho ukora, hanyuma
tubaze ikibazo. Philippe Nzaire nkora muri Rika. Ikibazo cyane nshaka kubaza ndakibaza representative wa Bener. Hari online trading platforms zijya ziba hangaha zigasakara kuri level yaho abaturage almost hafi ya bose baba bazigiyemo, kandi mu byo twumvise mu burenganzira bw'umuntu, information, right to information, right to be educated. Ibibazo bizaza kubaho intervention ya RIB ikabihagarika, rimwe na rimwe bamwe bakagira n'ibibazo bakabazwa, kandi byaratangiye. Akenshi harimo n'abakozi ba Bener baba babizi kuko ni ibintu biri muri public. Nkibaza se preventive measures nk'izi information zishobora kuba zitangwa hakiri kare abaturage benshi batarabijyamo, ni izihe twakwigira hamwe? Ariko cyane cyane benera tugira iyihe nama? Ubu hari wenda banatubwira hari ibindi nabyo byateye ngo ni online forex trading, nabyo batubwira niba amakuru bayazi, kuko bifite nanone abantu benshi babiriho kandi bavuga ko byemewe. So ibibazo byanjye byari ngibyo, murakoze
cyane. Philip, undi ufite igitekerezo cyangwa ikibazo? Yego.
Murakoze, nitwa Eric Nigaba, abanturutse muri Adecor. Ikibazo cyane nuko ese nashaka kubaza niba hari imikoranire, hari platform ihuza izo institution yaba ari private na public, ku buryo bagira gahunda ihoraho bagashyiraho even na mechanism na system zihari zishobora kurengera uriya muguzi. Nibaza ko buri muntu wese arahari ariko akazi ke, ariko nta kintu gishobora kuba cyabahuza. Wenda nka Beneri yatubwira niba hari gahunda ihari yo kuzahuza izo nzego zitandukanye ku buryo bashobora kuziga uko bafasha umuturage, n'ibyo bibazo bigashobora kuba byakemuka kubera ko bagiye bashyiraho za mechanism na system zishobora gufasha abo bantu, ku buryo umuturage amenya amakuru. Ese nshobora kuba nakura he ngize ikibazo gutya, biranyura he, bitangirira he, ndatangira muri Beneri, ndatangira muri MTN, ndatangirira he? Iyo rero izo mechanism zihari abaturage bakaba bazimenya izo system zihari, bizajya bifasha mu buryo bworoheje bwo gukemura ibyo bibazo. Murakoze.
Arakoze cyane Eric. Hari ikindi kibazo hano?
Murakoze. Nitwa Rutayisire, nabanduruka muri UR. Bakoze cyane abatuganiriye. Ndabanza ngaruke ku cyo Beneri yari yavuze mbere, bavuga ngo tugomba kureba uburyo izo service providers zose, izo institutions za service providers bagomba gucreatinga a platform aho satisfaction levels zashyirwa cyangwa bakajya berekana n'abaturage ubwabo niba bishimiye service babona. Nibaza ko ari igitekerezo cyiza, kandi ibibazo muriho murazira cyane nk'ibi ngibi umugenzi wacu wo muri Rura yavugaga, nuko Rura ubwo yumvise ibyo abantu bavuga, ariko hakabura uruhare rwanyu namwe by'ibyakozwe. Ibyo abantu bavuga ni bimwe, ariko noneho turebe custom behaviors. Ese service zacu barazikoresha bingana iki? Ese abazigaya barangana iki? Icyo kintu kirabura. Ntabwo musa, ndabizi ko bamwe baba bashaka yuko bitagaragara kubera ibibazo byanyu by'ubucuruzi n'iki, ariko hari ibintu byinshi mwakagombye kujya mwerekana kugira ngo byibuze babandi bakeya ba complaininga, kuko ndahamya ko ari bakeya, tumenye abaribo, tumenye n'uburyo umuntu yakora n'ubushakashatsi bwimbitse ngo amenye ese niki gipfa, birapfira hehe. Umuntu utabonye iyi service ese si kubera ya literacy idahari. Nibaza ko icyo kintu gikenewe. Ikindi nagarukaho ni cya nanone Beneri yatubwiye ko bakoresha artificial intelligence kugira ngo baturebere neza izo za complain n'uburyo ibibazo byabonerwa igisubizo. Nkanashima n'ibyo Adecor yatubwiye guhindura PPP to PPCP, birakenewe ko consumers bazamwo. Ariko noneho mwese ndababaza na mini ICT nayo nibagiwe. Mini ICT nayo icyo kintu cyo kureba consumer behavior tukayikompara na consumer reporting nayo irakenewe. Mwese nkababaza mbazize ikibazo rimwe, nta bufasha cyangwa nta bushobozi mubona muri high learning institutions zanyu dufite hano zabafasha muri ibyo bintu tugakemura ibibazo by'abaturage. Murakoze.
Ikibazo cyiza cyane, arakoze cyane. Reka twakire icyanyuma panelists babivugeho, hanyuma turashaka uburyo ki twakira industry.
Murakoze cyane, nitwa Uwase Kabarega Charity, nkora mu ishyirahamwe ry'ibigo by'imari iciriritse mu Rwanda, AMIR. Njyewe ntabwo ari ikibazo, ngira ngo ni nka general comment wenda ku byo bagenzi bacu bavuze. Shima na leta y'u Rwanda ndetse n'inzego bishinzwe kuba sector y'imari uyu munsi byibuze ubona harimo gutangira gushyirwaho systems na laws na regulations zitekereza ku muguzi, kubera ko mu myaka ishize wabonaga cyane cyane nubwo wenda of course ni urugendo rurerure bitewe n'aho igihugu gituruka n'amasekiteri aturuka, ariko byibuze wabonaga hitabwa cyane ku kureba ibigo by'imari, kureba regulations bireba imitangire ya serivisi z'imari, ariko ugasanga umuguzi ntabwo atekerezwaho. Ese aranyurwa, ese yatanyuzwe bigomba kugenda gute? Wasanga iyo kote y'umuguzi mu by'ukuri hari akantu kaburagamo ko gutekereza kuri a customer. So I really appreciate, ntabwo nagira icyo mvuga ntabashije gushimira inzego bireba ndetse na leta yacu yicaye igatekereza ko icyo kintu kibura, ndetse yewe n'abafatanyabikorwa bazamuye iryo jwi bakakora advocacy kugira ngo umuguzi uyu munsi abe ahageze uyu munsi mu bijyanye no kurenganurwa ndetse no kurengerwa. Ariko noneho by'umwihariko umuguzi wa serivisi z'imari. Icyo nashaka kuvuga rero ni uko ngira ngo wenda nka Central Bank mwadufasha, kuko turi gutekereza uyu munsi turimo turavuga ku burenganzira bw'umuguzi wagiye kugura, ariko ntabwo turi gutekereza nanone dutekereza no ku iduka azaguramo naho, kuko nitutahategura neza nubwo hagiye hategurwa kuva kera nk'uko nabivuze, ariko still haracyarimo gaps cyane cyane mu kugira ubushobozi bwo kubahiriza bwa burenganzira bw'umukiriya. Haracyarimo urugendo rurerure ku bigo by'imari cyangwa se kuri financial service providers, haracyarimo urugendo rurerure kubaha ubushobozi byaba mu bijyanye na equipments, byaba mu bijyanye na skills, byaba mu bijyanye na mu buryo bwo policies are there, regulations are there, but the compliance and implementation on the ground, we need to be close to them in terms of technical assistance, in terms of advisory services, in terms of hari ubushobozi burahari, itegeko ryatowe, regulations nazo muri wenda ziraba zatowe zanamanutse, ariko se ibigo by'imari byacu biri ready, bifite ubwo bushobozi bwo kugira ngo bashyire mu bikorwa za regulations ziri hariya? Kuko umukiriya akeneye kuko uburenganzira kandi muri kote zose, guhera kuri product development level. Iyo tuvuga ngo digital financial services, tuvuga ngo umukecuru w'inyamasheke niba atazi gusoma no kwandika, ntago uburenganzira bwe hariya bushobora kuzahohoterwa, kubera ko ka kantu ntago katekerejwe muri design ya product, cyangwa wenda karatekerejwe ariko kaburirwa igisubizo. Turayironcinga tuyikora gutyo kubera ko ariko tuzi neza ko harimo akantu k'akadirishya hari akatafunzwe, kandi hari kote y'umuturage runaka utazubahirizwa uburenganzira bwe. So ni ukuvuga rero ngo dutekereze kuri izo windows zombi, mwadufasha inzego bireba na Central Bank cyane cyane rwose, kugira ngo uko tu raising awareness kuri clients, kuko baraza guhaguruka. Abanyarwanda murabizi, ubundi abanyarwanda bose ni abanyamujyi, ubona ari abantu rwose basobanutse akenshi. Noneho nitunabigisha rero stakeholder, tugahaguruka tukabigisha ewana guharanira uburenganzira byo ni ikintu ubundi tuzi. Noneho tudategura rero financial service providers bacu nabo tukabagezaho imizingo y'ibitabo by'amabwiriza n'amategeko bagomba gukurikiza, ariko tutabegereye kuko turebe muri za nzego zabo dufite SACCOs, dufite commercial banks, dufite limited companies, dufite nani SACCOs, ngira ngo izo kategori zose zirahari, ariko n'ubushobozi bwabo bugenda bugira gute butandukana. Dufite izo za MTN, dufite insurance companies n'abandi, n'ubushobozi bwabo buratandukanye. We need to really take care of every institutional capacity. Tukareba noneho ni icyo asabwa kugira ngo hari abazasabwa guhayaringa abandi bakozi, hari abazasabwa gukora amahugurwa, bikazamura budget ya training, hari ama systems wenda muzazana yo kureba grievance resolution cyangwa se izo GRMs systems ziza, accommodation yazo hari costs. So we need the right in all areas of a financial service. Product development, the privacy of my data, you know, the treatment at the front desk there. I need my my right. I need a platform to complain. You know, we need the right in the pricing. In the pricing, when a financial institution is setting a price, really bafite ubundi zo skills, bafite ugomye wo kumenya ngo ubundi jya kubona ukabona pricing si ikibazo, bashobora no kuba bazi uburyo igiciro cya produit gishyirwaho kuko naba experts, ariko kugira ngo bazagira imyumvire yo kumva ngo a price should be set in a way that doesn't put a burden on a client. Kugira ngo yumve iyo myumvire ayigire nayo ni urugendo kuri yakote y'ikigo cy'imari, kuko bo bazahora bumva ko as long as ngewe mbona inyungu, ikibazo ku mukiriya kuvuga ngo arahenzwe cyangwa ntagahenzwe ntago bindeba. Bibagirwe ko nahendwa azaba overindebted nkuko umuyobozi mukuru yahoze abivuga, cyangwa se waje hagarariye Central Bank azaba overindebted. Namara kuba overindebted, NPL zizamuke, nizimara kuzamuka losses zibaho kuri bya bigo by'imari, abaturage nyine usange n'ubundi cyabaye ikibazo. Katurutse hantu hato kuvuga ngo as long as ngiye mbona iyi product in favoringa ntago ndi burebe ku mukiriya. So ngira ngo wenda nciye muri make ni icyo gitekerezo nashaka gutanga muri rusange ko twicaye hano tuvuga ku mukiriya cyane, ariko twibuke naho umukiriya azagenda agira gute yinjira ko naho hakenewe kwegerwa. Nubwo hari ibyo turimo gutegura, ariko nanone dutegure kubegera kuri hasi no kwanaliza ubushobozi bwa buri kigo no kubempawaringa kugira ngo nabo babashe kwitegura kuri levels zose guhera hariya ku get person. I remember scenario imwe yigeze kuba ahantu mu kigo cy'imari nagiye, noneho nsanga hari ikibazo kivuga ngo haje umuntu umukiriya bisanzwe aza ari yarafite ubumuga, ariko afite akantu k'akagare ke agendamo, agasiga ahantu somewhere acrossinga umuhanda. Nuvuga ngo umusekirite ntabwo yari yabonye ko yaje mu kagare, ariko yaribonaga ko afite ubumuga. Sarahagera aramubaza ati shaka nje umusekirite yamubonye gutya ahita amata urajya he wowe? Ndamubwira ati nje muri banki. Ndamubwira ati no, hano ntago basabiriza. Urumva, that's a true story. Hano ntago basabiriza. Ndamubwira ati ariko nje ntago nje gusabiriza, ndakubwiye ngo va hano genda na manager yanjye atakubona hano. Aramwirukansa, umugabo aracrossinga umuhanda asubirayo, afata telefoni ahamagara manager wa bank amubwira ibimubayeho. Ewana nyine urumva nawe ikibazo cyabaye kuri manager kugira ngo azakonveke wa mukiriya yongera mugarure muri mood. Umusaza yari afite igipfunyika cy'amafaranga kingana gutya, aje kubitsa amafaranga ye, ariko get person cyangwa se wa mu security amubonye, we yamubonye nk'umuntu usabiriza. So we need such a enforcement n'amahugurwa uko twubaka ubushobozi ku bakiriya, twubake n'ubushobozi ku bigo by'imari. Urumva aho ngaho kandi guhera ku musekirite kugera kuri high levels, bose byibuze babe bari kuri level imwe yo kumva consumer protection. Murakoze cyane.
Arakoze cyane ku bitekerezo byiza atugejejeho. Panelists, ndagira ngo tubahe akanya namwe mubivuge, and taking advantage of the opportunity of holding that mic, I would like just answer all those questions that were addressed to your institution, to you. Let us start by Christian, then we go to Frank, and to Damien, and there are Angelos who will just come last. but not least.
Urakoze. Ibibazo byabajijwe ni byiza ndahera sinzi niba ari ikibazo ariko ni concern Theo yarezinze kuri rura. Nagira ngo let me put clarification. Can I use English? Kugira ngo badakomeza kumusemurira. Ndavanga. So we have different issues. The first one is reversals. We have reversals when it comes to push-pull, and we're talking about mobile money, Airtel money, to 11 banks plus microfinances. The transaction grew in 2 years by almost 700%. And the tilt has come mostly people to push from bank to the Momo wallet. And this happened in a period where systems are there, thanks to the government of Rwanda, but you realize that the way things were set up, they're not ready to handle heavy transactions. So you realize that there's some loopholes. And when you realize someone sends money, they're being debited, the other one is not credited, or they're being credited, or the other one is not debited. And those are kind of issues that we get. And for me, that has been an issue of system stability. We're talking about almost 14 institutions altogether. And we are talking about security breach, and there's a system called asynchronous plus synchronous. This is a bit more technical, but it's the way transactions are being handled. That is a challenge. For me, the answer will be the centralized AI that BNR is having. If we can have a centralized complaint handling process and system, and I think RIPS is part of it because it is our route when it comes to push-pull, that will be a solution. But it's one of the issues that Theo raised. The second one is frauds. I keep telling my team internally, don't go and repeat it. In Rwanda, we don't have thieves. I don't know if you guys have watched a documentary of a guy called Hush Puppy. It's on Netflix, on YouTube. We don't have hush puppies in Rwanda. Whatever we see, it's a local agent trying to make a living, trying to make money, and sometimes it's malpractice. The most popular case is what? Agent, a Momo agent, a bank agent go sit in one place, in a room, they do 100 transactions in cycle because the pipe is free. But who made it free? All of us. If they're doing that, the regulations say, or the contract that they have with the master agent, is if you do this number of transactions, I'll pay you a commission. Technically, it's not a fraud. It's a malpractice, right? But it's a loop that we need to address together. Now, who pays the price is the consumer. Because how it happens is, you want to cash out, the agent will tell you, put it on my number, he pushes to the bank, and then they cash out at a lower commission. The bank has a liquidity stress because they're managing money going on their pipe, and they don't make money as far as CAR is concerned. Cash adequacy ratio, they're not making money. They're used as a pipe. MTN, Momo is being also affected because when he sends this money to an agent and the agent disappears, we are asked to reverse that money. And these are issues we are handling. And I think they go to RIB, they go to RURA, and they complain. KYC. I think KYC is another issue. We have put that process or that system or escalation matrix for people to complain. But today, last year, I think in September 2021, the law, and I had to be precise, it says the regulation or the guidance from RURA, anyone who intends to get a new SIM card or a swap is required to meet the following: to present himself at a location certified and approved by MTN. And we have a few. So you realize someone in Mhanga, like I gave an example, the nearest service center is in Kirehe Center. They have to take a motor because the regulations say if you had a fraud case, you ask us to block your PIN. The moment for you to do a PIN reset, if your minimum balance is beyond 3,000 or 10,000, you need to present yourself. Now, why am I raising all these issues? I think we need more sessions to sit together, and I agree with you, Theo, where we don't just make it, we don't need to meet in Marriott. We can meet in rural office, quarterly, monthly. We look at, these are issues. Is it an issue of the regulation? Is it an issue of call center? Is it an issue of centralizing with BNR? What do we need to address? Because you realize someone will say, me, I've put a regulation, implement it, I don't care. Mama say, okay, me, I want to make money. I'll also make money. The bank also say, I don't care. If Momo is not making money, my ATM is working, then it's okay. But if we manage to be all together in one room and we talk real issues like Theo, I really appreciate what you said. We discuss real issues. We have a tracker, we say, in the last few months, RIB has reported these issues on digital. Today we also have FIC. I don't know why FIC was not invited here. Financial Institution for Crime. FIC also has received this. And then Momo, Airtel, PNR, the policymaker. What do we need to change? We agree, we submit to BNR/RURA, and then we implement. I don't think Momo, and I speak not only Momo, Bank, Airtel, Money, we're here to make money. Whatever will help us to make money and we implement it, we will jump on the opportunity. Is there a gap that we have on our side? Yes, we do that. Sometimes what we do, for example, for those agents, the process say we give you a warning. 1 warning, 2 warning, the 3rd time we block you. When they block you, they go on BTN, they go on TV1. And then now we have to play politics to manage them and all that. But this is reality. For me, it's one issue is they are frauds. I'll not say they are not frauds. When I was Equity, we caught, I'll not mention nationality, but realized most frauds, they're being exported. There are people who used to do malpractice with POS, and the same crew that we reported to GRIB, they're entering in the country with putting some drugs in their belly. Funny stories. But you realize that such malpractice only are more expected. But cases that we have, most cases that we have, it's either of ignorance, not understanding what they need to do, their rights, but also malpractice, because, and someone asked me, why don't you guys, mobile money, lower prices so that agents are not affected? And allow me to explain this. We are in a business of transaction commission. We make little commission from every transaction. Bank are in the business of a cash adequacy ratio. In deposit, they make money. They don't make money on commission. Whenever I try to reduce my cash out fees on agent, the bank goes lower, and they're willing to even go to 0, because we are not in the same business model. Who gets affected? The agent and the consumer. Now, do we go to 0? How will I run my company? And I think I'll not say what I told Theo earlier, where we are going. Indirectly, we are being pushed to also adapt a certain business model, and I think it will be a natural move for us, and I think it will also benefit a certain segment of the population. But that's the challenge on pricing. And for everyone's awareness, and I thank the government of Rwanda and policymakers, we have reduced our prices to almost 60% in 2 years. But still, the impact is still there. It's feasible because when you look at our GDP, purchase power, and accessibility to services, smartphone and all that, it's still a challenge, but we will get there. Thank you.
Thank you. To go straight to, maybe before I got the questions that were raised by the audience, I realized that some questions that Damien raised earlier that I did not tackle. So I will start with them and then go to the questions from the audience. Damien talked about the issue of complaints handling, most especially related to fraud. What I would say is every complaint that is addressed to NBR is responded. It might take time, but remember, not all complaints can be responded to within 5 days. Some require investigation. some actually require 6 months investigation. If I may give an example, we've got the frauds that involve international frauds, where we actually even involve RIB to investigate. What they do, they also involve the Interpol. Those cases cannot be solved within 6 months or even 2 months or even a year. Sometimes they even take more than 1 year. So we have to bear with the situation that we work in. We are in globalization where we transact internationally. So whichever, when a case happens, so we have to bear with the what happens after that. So, but I can promise that every claim that is addressed to NBR, it's always responded. And we try our level best to make sure that it's responded on time. But at the same time, what we're trying to do to make sure that even the claims that are addressed to FSPs themselves are addressed on time, it's the complaints handling and customer engagement, what we call the artificial intelligence chatbot, that will be integrating different channels through SMS, Twitter, Facebook, website, where a consumer can lodge a claim, and then the system is able to monitor how long has it taken. And then if it takes more than the set time frame, then it's escalated to the next level. Something else maybe is the government of Rwanda thought of setting an independent committee that will be in charge of doing thorough investigation for such complaints that have been escalated to that committee. So that will also solve a lot of issues. Now on the proximity, when he talked of different financial institutions having like ATMs at their doors, not in the village, today we are encouraging them to use actually digital channels that can be accessed by everyone wherever they are. Even if you're outside the country, you can access your money in the bank that is localized. So digital, where we are going, I think the proximity problem is going to be solved because you can access your account wherever you are. And then on the redress, I talked of the countrywide awareness. We had the first round in end of Jan, beginning of February, where we were actually on different broadcasting agencies talking about the rights of the consumers, but also the obligations of the consumers, but also even telling the financial institutions to be responsible and empower their consumers. That goes with the empowerment, because actually for us, we take empowerment as something that cannot be done by NBR itself or alone. But we're also saying that financial institutions should take part in empowering their consumers right from the beginning of the consumption. If you come to open an account, are you able to explain all the benefits and risks associated with that particular product or service? Are you able to explain that so that I open that account when I know everything that is awaiting me? So with that, the consumer is empowered to make an informed decision. Two is you also empower based on the consumer's choice. Like for example, if I want to open an account, you don't just open an account, maybe we have different accounts, the current, saving, or term deposit. You need to first understand why this person needs an account, so that whenever you're going to give this person a product or a service, you give them the appropriate service. Because within the consumer protection law that was enacted last year, there's also a principle of providing appropriate advice to the consumer who comes to consume a product or services. So the empowerment starts right away when you are starting consume a particular product or service. And then we also do the same. We do the same in two ways. We do empowerment to consumers. We also do empowerment to financial service providers. Because what we do whenever we enact a law or a provision, what we do different trainings to different financial service providers to make sure that they grasp the concept and the rationale behind the particular provisions within that particular regulation or law or directive, so that we are able to see the full compliance with the provisions. Because at the end of it all, if the law or regulation is not complied with, there's no essence. There's no reason for it to be there. So we make sure that whenever we put out a law, like for example, the way we've been doing it, we started with the campaigns focusing on the financial service providers themselves. All the way from all the organization levels. We start with the technical level, we go to the management, we go to the board, so that they can grasp, most especially that the consumer protection aspects are new in our country. Not only in our country, but in most of the developing countries. Consumer protection is a new aspect. We've been looking at the prudential, the soundness of the financial system, the inclusion, but today we talk of 93% financial inclusion, both informal and informal. But after that, what happens? We need to protect these consumers. And that's why we're putting much emphasis in putting regulatory frameworks to make sure that these consumers are well protected. Now, go back to the questions that were raised from the audience. I will start with the one of honesty on the procedures for lodging a complaint. We have two different, what we call the categories of lodging complaints. There is a complaint that is going to be lodged for the first time to FSP, financial service provider. So what we are requiring the financial service providers is to make sure that they have different channels where consumers can lodge their complaints. And these channels are supposed to be published on their websites, in their premises, and wherever they operate from, so that they are visible by the consumers. So if I have a claim or a complaint, I'm able to know that I have to go through this process for me to lodge this complaint. That is number one. Number two, if the complaint is not resolved at that level, where does it go? It has to be clear in every document that the consumer signs or the FSP gives to the consumer that if you are not satisfied, you have a right to refer your complaint to the committee in charge of complaints handling. So he's, from the very beginning, he's aware that he can lodge his complaint post-failure at the FSP level. He can escalate to the committee. So we want it to be in every document so that the consumer will not struggle to even know that I can even take my case somewhere else. So from there, and then the case will be escalated to the committee. But the committee, the ministerial order will come out soon. But before the committee, now NBR is doing that job. So you can lodge your complaint to NBR. You can visit our offices. We have an office in Kigali. We have offices in all provinces of the country. So you can visit our office. You can send to our emails that are on our website, info@bnr.rw. So all those are the channels. But at the same time, we are putting now a complaints handling that is going to actually supplement what is already in the press. Because the complaints handling will not be addressing only complaints addressed to NBR. No. We are saying it should be done to every complaint. Every complaint, if I come physically to your office, you guide me to put it in the complaints handling system so that we have a transparent one. Because at the end of the day, sometimes you lodge a complaint and then it's not taken care of. I mean, the FSP does nothing about it and no one knows. And sometimes they even refuse to stamp on it. I have to confess that happens sometimes. But we want to solve that problem by making sure that every complaint goes through the system so that if the FSP doesn't want to respond to it, then we are there to give you justice. Yes, those are the procedures for. Now on the compensation procedures, like the donor said, that sometimes you send money from Momo to bank and then the money hangs somewhere where you don't even know. And then you spend 2 days, 3 days, or even a week. And maybe you're a business person. You talked of a school fees, but imagine you're a business person and maybe you had sent $1 million and you wanted maybe to go and drop. What happens? So we are also requiring FSP to put in place the compensation procedure and policy that will be guided by if they have really, if the failure was as a result of their systems or their staff, then they have to compensate you based on the damages paid by the consumer, the opportunity cost lost, and of course, whatever. So the procedure, the policy will be, it will put in place the procedures that will be followed to compensate a consumer. And then, of course, the questions from Nzaire, Rika, online trading platforms, online forex. What we're actually encouraging people, we want people to shift their mindset to make sure that whenever you think of engaging yourself in certain issues or in those issues, make sure you first check whether that is an approved institution. Because all the institutions that are approved by National Bank of Rwanda are listed on our website. That is a plea that we are sending to the public. Make sure that you are dealing with someone who is licensed. Because what we've observed over the years, we've got, actually, he's saying about the forex bureaus, we talk of the paramedics, we talk of the insurers who are coming on board and start trading before they even acquire the licenses. And at the end of the day, what happens? For us, we issue a public notice that this so-and-so is not licensed to carry out these activities. But remember, there are some people who have already been engaged. So we send them to RIB. And of course, the RIB will do the investigation, and maybe it will take 6 months or even years. So we want to encourage people to be proactive when we are dealing with such kind of businesses. Make sure that, because they are actually, anyway, they are even unique. He will tell you, give me 1 million, in 2 weeks I'll give you 2 million. And you wonder where they get the money. So they are unique. You can easily identify them. Make sure before you engage them, make sure they are approved by National Bank of Rwanda. Because National Bank of Rwanda is the regulator of every player within the financial sector. So if you are not approved, then you also, the consumer, does not have a right to deal with this person. Otherwise, you deal with them on your own risks. Another question from Eric Adekor on the collaboration on training and of course empowering. I talked about it, that empowerment starts with the FSPs themselves. So they are required to first empower their consumers, actually to even participate in educating their consumers about different features of their products. For example, today we are talking of digital, and we've actually seen where digital is heading as a result of the COVID. Everything, even from the national policy, that by 2024 they want everything to be done online. So, but it has its own risks if not taken care of. So we are saying that the FSP should be in position to explain every risk pertained within that particular product. For example, if I'm opening online banking or internet banking, you are supposed to be giving me the tips, the product features or tips that I'm supposed to follow for me to transact successfully. You're not allowed to expose your credentials. You're not allowed to do this. If this happens, then report it here. So that you are able to understand the risks associated with each and every product or service that we are going to consume. So that is the empowerment that starts with the FSP. But we're also doing it. We normally get different topics. We go to radios, we go to different local government, and of course talk to citizens about, transacting, doing their transactions with carefulness. And then another question from Rutaisire Yual on the collaborations and of course the publication of the feedback. As I said, most of all these things, we already have a law, but the law is not detailed enough. The law says that more details will come out in the regulations. So the regulations are at the final stage of being published. And we hope the transition period will end in September, we shall be having regulation to implement the law fully. And what we are requiring within the regulations, actually, we are saying that FSPs should be publishing in their annual reports the satisfaction surveys that they will be required to do regularly. If we've done a satisfaction survey, then put it in the annual report to inform the public of how your consumers are satisfied about your products. We don't want them to hide. It's their responsibility. They've got to carry that survey and, of course, implement the recommendations of the survey. So that is, of course, we also require collaborations. Recently, National Bank of Rwanda carried out a consumer satisfaction survey for the financial service consumers and financial service providers. And we collaborated with different institutions, including University of Rwanda. They are our great partners, including other higher learning institutions, because us alone cannot reach each and everybody. So we've gone to partner with different stakeholders to make sure that what we do reaches to the grassroots. So we use, I know we, I think if we sent it to University of Rwanda and we received a lot of feedback from them, be it their students, be it their staff, they all participated. So we do require actually a strong collaboration, not just a collaboration with different stakeholders. So we really value your collaborations. Then on the questions or suggestions or comments that were raised by Charity from Emil on the compliance side of it, she's with the view that we are not only supposed to look at the side of the consumer, but we're also supposed to look at the side of the financial service provider. Because at the end of it all, if we educate the consumers and they come up to claim their rights, then are these financial service providers in position to provide all that? We do that. We do that to the extent that sometimes we intervene. Like, for example, the way we're intervening to come up with the artificial intelligence complaints handling system that will be used by all the financial institutions in Rwanda. We know it's very expensive. So requiring each and every financial service provider to have one might be difficult because it costs a lot. So sometimes we intervene. Two, we requiring them to upskill their staff, because actually the weaknesses are within the staff. Or sometimes we hire staff, we are like, I saw a saying that where the CEO was saying that if, the CFO was saying that if we train our staff and then leave, where do we benefit? And then the CEO was like, if we don't train them and then they stay, what happens? There's that debate of whether we need to invest in training our staff or if we don't. But training is a key pillar of doing every business, because if you don't have skilled personnel, then I don't think if you are able to implement your strategic plan. Because for you to be able to implement your strategic plan, you need people who are really skilled and aware of every activity. So we are requiring financial service providers to train their staff in as far as consumer protection and fair treatment of consumers is concerned. Because we talk of, you know, frauds and whatever, but we also talk of customer care and service delivery. I think that is the main issue where sometimes we get abuses from the staff of the FSPs. Sometimes we are not, we see cases of where you are on a queue and then someone bypasses someone to go to get the service before someone who came earlier. So we are saying that FSP should train their staff, and that is a requirement because they will be submitting to the National Bank of Rwanda. And again, to make sure that even the consumers participate in the product design and development, we're also requiring financial institutions that whenever they are coming up with a new product or service, they should consult their consumers and evidences should be kept for the National Bank of Rwanda to audit. Because we understand actually all things, most of them, they base on the product development and design. Because if you don't consult your consumers to give you how they feel it should be, and then at the end of it all, you end up with a product that is not fitting consumers. And we're supposed to be releasing actually products and services that are responding to the needs of the consumers. So if you're not consulting them, I don't know how you're going to respond their needs. So those are the provisions that we're putting in place. And then the pricing mechanisms. Of course, as the National Bank, it's a policy we don't intervene in the prices. Prices of the financial sector are determined by the forces of demand and supply. But they should be transparent. They should be transparent in a way that if I bear the same risks with Valentin, then he gets an interest rate of 15, I get an interest rate of 20%, because that is discriminatory in nature. So we are saying they should be transparent and disclosed. These are the procedures. And of course, the pricing model and pricing policy will be submitted to the National Bank of Rwanda to make sure that all the procedures that a pricing model has undergone through has been respected, so that we provide inclusive prices that are actually responding to the needs of the consumers. So I don't know if there is any question that maybe I've not tackled, but I can see what I noted down, I've responded to. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the answers and the intervention you have made to all what they said. I think, and I guess they are satisfied with the answers. We remain with very few minutes, according to the schedule we do have today. And you know we have another appointment. Hamwe n'abaturage mu nteko z'abaturage. So let us hurry up and give few, like 5 minutes for both our 2 remaining panelists to intervene on, I guess you had very few questions to which you have to respond. So, yes.
Intervening gatoya.
Okay.
Probably on the position of the central bank. Hari services twita illegal, financial services ziba ziri illegal, zitemewe nko gukorana na pyramid scheme, banki Lambert, ibyo ngibyo polisi iraguhiga ikagufata. Ariko hari nk'ibi ngibi twita online FX cyangwa se cryptocurrency. So ni services zitara approved na BNL ariko ushobora gukorana nazo at your own risk. So the police will not chase you out. Ariko the central bank position does not regulate, so but you can do it at your own risk. Nukuvuga ngo nta police izagufata, so ubwo nubikora ukabihomberamo, so that is your own risk. So akaza rero na services zemewe izingizi kubitsa no kubikuza, money transfer and so on and so forth. These are approved, and then when you face some challenges, you are protected. Thank you.
Nitwari tuzi iyo difference yuko na cryptocurrency ubwayo ntago twari tuzi koko niba idasa na pyramid ubwabyo. So ngira ngo na amakuru akomeye ngira byari byabajwe na Philip. Now we have a clear standing on it. Ndizera ko n'aba consumers babyumvise aho bitandukaniye ariko bakumvana n'ingaruka zibirimo byombi, cryptocurrency na pyramids cyangwa se biriya bya Lambert, bya banki Lambert. Damien, iminota mike cyane na hanyuma duhe na Angelos ijambo kugira ngo tugende tugana ku musozo. Murakoze.
Murakoze moderator. Ngenda avuga ku bintu bibiri wenda bitabashe kuvugwaho cyane. Icyambere ndashimira BNL ku bisobanuro batanze. Mu byukuri hakenewe improvement mu mpande zose cyane muri regulations. Nkuko Philippe yabivuze, nubwo regulation zajyaho ariko hagomba kuba na implementation igaragara hasi, bikagera hasi ku baturage, kuko amategeko arahari ni meza, regulations zirakorwa ndetse n'ama strategies zirakorwa, ariko implementation ikaba ikibazo. Hari information sharing ku ba service providers, rwose harimo ikibazo gikomeye aho tujya hirya no hino n'izo product tuvuga za smart products, ubwo zihari ariko nta information, kuko niba ugiye muri internet banking, mobile banking, mbere y'uko uyifunguza bagombye kuguha terms and conditions zijyanye na charges ndetse n'ingaruka zishobora kukubaho, ushobora kwirengera n'izo banki ishobora kwirengera. Ibyo rero abakonsumer ntabyo bazi. Arafungura izo mobile banking ariko ntazi amakuru, nta makuru afite ajyanye n'icyo gikorwa. Icyo agiye gukora ni ukuyikoresha gusa, ariko conditions ntazo. Ibyo rero birasabwa ko mu gihe ayifunguye hari urupapuro agomba guhabwa ndetse ruri mu rurimi yumva, kugira ngo abashe gusobanukirwa n'igikorwa yinjiye mu cyari cyo. Ikindi ni kijyanye na data protection and privacy. Kuri data protection murabona yo ugiye gufunguza cyangwa ugiye nka smart cyangwa ugiye smart cards, ugiye kuba wenda mu member wa MTN cyangwa wa Airtel, iriya kade wasabye ubu ngubu byarahindutse, birasaba ko bagufata n'ifoto, utanga ID yawe, ugatanga ifoto, ugatanga all information zose urazitanga. Zira information aho zijya ese zirarinzwe, kuko ni privacy yawe. Niyo mpamvu ibyo mugenzi wanjye yavuze, uriyongiye ugasanga umuntu araguhamagaye afite amakuru yawe yose, afite ifoto yawe, afite imitungo yawe. Muzi ko iyo umuntu afite ID yawe ashobora kumenya imitungo yawe yose. Ibaze ugiye gufunguza SIM card, urashaka SIM card, baragufotoye, bagusabye ID, byose uriya mu agent, kuko n'aba agent barabigusaba. Uriya mu agent nawe nta makuru afite kubya gusaba. Iyo umubaje ati kuki umfata ifoto, ngo nongo nibyo MTN yadusabye, aragufasha iyo foto, agusabye ID, ubaye registered, ariko we mu by'ukuri ntazi ibyagukoreye, nawe ntuzi ibyo ukoze. At the end niho ujya kubona, ukabona umuntu runaka araguhamagaye ati hano ufite ikibanza hanaha, MTN irashaka gushiramo umunara, ariko urazi neza ko iyo MTN ishizemo umunara igenda ikwishyura buri kwezi. Urabyemeye? Ati ndabyemeye. Urashaka ko dushyiramo umunara? Ati wakohereza 100 ku telefone kugira ngo ube registered tugushiremo umunara. Abantu benshi iyo bumvisha amafaranga ibaze miliyoni buri kwezi ugomba kwinjiza. Icyo kintu rero nuko iki cya data protection murakivuga hiki cyane cyane. Ndabaza aba service provider, kuko ni mu buryo bwose. Hari service provider MTN, hari amabank, ziriya data tubaha kuki zisohoka zigakoreshwa n'abo hanze. Nuriya mukozi mufite uzikoresha, esho mushobora kumwirukana agakomeza kuzikoresha, kuko afite amakuru yose. Ni gute data ziba protected? Kuko is our privacy. Icyo kintu mugikora hiki. Yes, mugiye gukora izo regulation, ariko muzabikoraho mute kugira ngo izo data zibe protected? Hari cyavuzwe na Theo ko muri RA mechanism, wenda uwo muri Beneri yabivuzeho, wabivuzeho neza ariko ndagira ngo bibe clear. Mechanism of complaint handling. Iyi mechanism irakorwa gute kuko haracyarimo ibibazo. Yes, hagiye kuba izo regulations, hazajyaho na online, wavuze ko hakorwa n'amasurveys, ariko ntabwo muri validation y'ayo masurvey mukora ntabwo mutumira stakeholders ngo muvalidating ayo masurvey tumenye ese n'ibiki ni ibyakozwe iyo survey achievement ni ibihe biri mu iyo survey. Uretse kujya kuri website, kubishyira kuri website, abazi gusoma nibo bazayisoma, bajya kugooglinga bakareba izo website nibo bashobora kubona ayo makuru. Ariko byakagombye kuba byiza abo bakonsulta banyu bagombye kuvalidatinga izo research baba bakoze, tukamenya nk'aba stakeholder, tukamenya ese kuri consumer satisfaction hakozwe iki, habonetse iki, tumenye ibyavuye mu yo survey. Hari ikibazo cyabajijwe, sinzi niba mwagishubije, cyane cyane Benel, online forex trading. Ese cyaba cyasubijwe? Okay, murakoze.
So mugenzi wanjye from Adecor arakoze cyane. Ndashaka kuvuga ku bintu bibiri, ntabwo ndi busubire mu byo bavuzemo kugira dukoreshe igihe neza. So icyambere ndavugaho cyari kijyanye na data protection yaravuze. Karone nabivuzeho mu cyongereza ariko reka noneho mbisubiremo mu kinyarwanda. Ni ukuvuga ngo umwaka ushize mu kwa 10 itegeko rya data privacy and protection ryaba enacted mu Rwanda, ndetse hashyirwaho n'ikigo cya National Cyber Security Authority kigomba kureberera no kwemfosinga ko iryo tegeko ryubahirizwa. Ariko hajyaho provision y'imyaka 2 kugira ngo abantu babe bamenya uko bagomba kwaderinga n'iryo tegeko, nuko data z'abanyarwanda zigomba kuba protected. Ubwo ni ukuvuga ngo niba itegeko ryarashyizweho mu kwa 10 2021, bivuga ko by October 2023 noneho enforcement izatangira, ndetse n'utabyubahiriza hakaza ibindi bihano biteganywa n'itegeko. So numva ubwo wenda ari uburyo bumwe nk'igihugu kiba cyatekereje, ariko nk'uko yarabivuze na user institutions cyangwa se aba operator nabo bagomba gushyiraho framework z'uburyo data z'abanyarwanda ziba protected, kuko niba batabikora by this time, so bazatangira guhanwa mu gihe kiri very recent. So ubwo wenda icyo ndumva aricyo navuga ku cyambere. Ikindi cya kabiri nashaka kuvuga ni ikibazo cyabajijwe na Rutayisire from University of Rwanda, abaza ukuntu twakorana mu by'ukuri kugira ngo twadressinge bimwe mu bibazo MFIs ziri guhura nazo. And mu kugisubiza ndashaka kwirefaringa ku byo MC Kare yigeze kuvuga ko every challenge izana na opportunity. Basically ahantu hari ikibazo burya uba ufite amahirwe yo gufixinga cyangwa se kuzana solution yo kuri icyo kibazo. So hari new initiative turi kuzana muri government zo analyzing data, then data ziconforminga policy decisions. So turi gukora pilot aho turi gufatanya n'ubundi na BNL, Minicom ndetse n'izindi government institutions mu analyzinga data dufite mu bijyanye muri financial sector, kugira ngo turebe uburyo dushobora kuinforminga policy decisions, harimo izijyanye n'ibya pricing. Nubwo nkuko mugenzi yavuze tutajya muri pricing ngo tuvuge ngo biciro bigomba kuba set gutya, ari market biditamaninga, ariko dushobora no gutanga izindi guidance z'uburyo byafasha abanyarwanda kugira ngo babe well informed about ibiciro biri kuri different products. Ariko burya iyo analyzing data z'aba consumers no kubatega amatwi bigufasha no gucustomizinga cyangwa se gukora solution ifitinga bya bibazo byabo. So muri iyo mikoranire rero n'izindi government institutions turi no gukorana na academia, kuko bafite aba fresh graduate banje muri data science ndetse n'izindi domain. Mu by'ukuri tuzajya dupressinga muri ministries zitandukanye kugira ngo badufashe mu kuanalyzinga data ziri muri izo sectors. Dufite amadata menshi uzasanga ariko kugeza kuri ubu ngubu atari leveraged, atabyazwa umusaruro. So iyo pilot rero turifuza gukora muri ubwo buryo kugira ngo izo data dufata urugero niba ari Minicom data bashobora kuba bafite related n'abacuruzi, n'ubuho buryo zishobora kuba analyzed kugira ngo zinforminge uburyo abacuruzi muri rusange bashobora kuba onboarded kuri izi digital services. Ese complaints bahura nazo in general ni izihe? So ndakeka ko iyo initiative turimo turakora izarushaho kongera imikoranire with the private sector, the academia, kugira ngo going forward tujye dufata informed decision. Yeah, na hanga nsoreje ndumva ibibazo related ari ibi. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Ngira ngo umunota nk'umwe Beneri iganire gato ku byo Damien yaravuze tujya ku musozo kuko igihe twari dufite cyatugeranye kugira ngo tujye no kuri gahunda zikurikiyeho. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Adekore yaravuze kuri data protection and privacy. Actually nanjye yose yabivuzeho. Last year binactinze itegeko rya data protection and privacy, and we've held different discussions with National Cybersecurity Authority, specifically on the implementation status of the financial sector. We held to inviting the different stakeholders from the financial sector, to inviting a National Cybersecurity to explain in details of what are the main contents and provisions of the law that financial institutions are required to adhere to. So icho twumvikanye nuko within this transition period of 2 years, financial institutions are required to come up with policies and frameworks zizabafasha go muri data protection. Ariko maybe to add on, nuko n'ubundi NBR nizaba isanga hari implementer yitegeko muri financial sector. Nitwe tuba dukora enforcement, specifically consumer protection and market conduct department. So what icho twebwe tureba se izo data as he said mu correctinga zirakoreshwa ziti, as how are they storage years meziti, as mufite policies to store them, as how is processing taking place, because the law actually I think defines data processing, data controlling, and whatever all those things. So nuko muri your transition period, we are working with different financial institutions to make sure that they have frameworks in place to make sure that they are compliant come October 2023. So icho ni cyambe turimo gukora. Icho twanahisemo nuko no muri regulation we don't need to put it kuko dufite itegeko no ryihari kuko ubundi mu itegeko babivugagaho kuri protection of personal data. So tumaze itegeko imaze gusohoka itegeko rya data protection and privacy, so really detailed. So we work hand in hand with the National Cybersecurity Authority to make sure that the data that is collected from the consumer is well protected, istowarinze neza, kandi kuko n'ubundi ntago izo data za mbere dufite n'ubundi byari bisanzwe. For example, dufite itegeko ribemerera rya credit reporting, uburyo ba reportinga muri CRB, Credit Reporting Bureau, kugira ngo habeho centralized data zo kuri credit. Ariko ari byo tubasaba. Icyambere ni consent in case you want to ushaka ku revealing someone's data unless allowed by the law. Ubundi era bari consent, so in case habayo breach of the law, of course penalties itegeko n'ubundi ziraza. So icyo ni cyambere. On the validation of the survey results, icyo twakoraga, I think let me call it a pilot. We wanted something to inform the regulations that we were drafting. So nago nayita like a big survey, yari like a pilot. Nubwo twagerageje covering almost all the parts of the country, ariko yari pilot yo kureba what are the views, what are the challenges that are actually on the grassroots that we might not be aware of, that might be revealed by the results of the survey and catered for within the regulations. So nicyo twakoze. Iyo survey yararangiye cyangwa se iyo pilot hari ibyo twabonyemo from the survey itself but also from the experience itself. Kuko hari ukuntu sometimes we sit up there and then we make decisions ariko utazi uko ibintu bimeze hasi. So you ugiye rero n'iyo experience yo kumenya uko ibintu bimeze, abantu bakakwibwira bati turashira umenya ukuri ko kumeze. Kandi iyo umaze kumenya ukuri kuko buri every decision that you take, it must be an informed decision and must be informed by the information and data. So icyo twashakaga yari ayo makuru. I think ADECO itself participated kuko bari partners bacu, twarabahaye masurvey baradistributinga to their members, private sector participated, academia yara participating, financial service providers themselves, and then different consumers kuko twakoresheje different tools. Twakoresheje online tools, twagiye kuri food aho twumvaga umuturage uri mu murima tukamubaza challenges ubona muri izi services akatubwira. Ibyo byose results zabigaragaje, and we twamake sure yuko every challenges twabonye ziba addressed by the regulations that are coming out soon. Maybe that is what I can kuretse niba ari ikindi abajije numvishe icyo nasubiza. Thank you so much.
Urakoze cyane. Ngira ngo iyi session ya panelist Director General ngira ngo hari icyo yashaka kongeraho katumpakanya.
Murakoze. Nakandu gatoya nashaka kongeraho ku byavuzwe, dushimira n'aba panelist bacu ku biganiro byiza batuganirije. Ni kubijyanye n'imikorere n'imikoranire ya za institutions, kubera yuko byinshi byavuzwe muri challenges aba consumers bafite, ni ibijyanye no kuba badafite amakuru, ko bagomba kuba educated, bagomba no kumenya who does what kugira ngo bajye bamenya niba bahuye n'ikibazo uwo bakwiye kukibaza. Ni igitekerezo rero nari mfite nti dukomeze ubufatanye muri awareness creation. Institutions zose bireba, regulators bireba muri domains zitandukanye, dufatanye mu gutanga mu increasing awareness muri consumers kugira ngo babashe gusobanukirwa, bamenye ngo beneri irregulatinga ibi n'ibi, niba hura n'ikibazo kijyanye n'ibijyanye n'ama service y'imari bamenye uwo babibaza, niba gira hura n'ikibazo cya biriya bavugaga bya za MTN za ibi bigo byose bitanga ama service zijyanye n'imari, bamenye uwo babaza, niba hura n'ikibazo bamenye uko bagenda bashakisha igisubizo, kandi n'abatanga service nyine bamenye ko bafite iyo obligation yo gutanga amakuru kubijyanye n'ibyo na rights z'umu consumer. Icyo ngicyo nicyo nashaka kongeraho ku byavuzwe kugira ngo dukomeze dufatanye rwose aya makuru atangwe kandi agere ku mu consumer wo hasi, kuko twabonye ko bakeneye amakuru, bakeneye kwigishwa. Ikindi ni ku kijyanye na Dr. Clever yavugaga ku bijyanye n'imikoranire nyine na UR ndetse na other high learning institutions. Ni igitekerezo cyiza cyane ndetse na mugenzi wanjye muri min ICT yakigarutseho. Nahise nibuka ko natwe muri RICA dufite muri action plan ku bijyanye na consumer rights protection ndetse no gukomeza kongera nyine awareness mu byo ikora in terms of competition and consumer protection. Dufitemo ibya SS competition aho twifuza ko nyine hazabaho ibiganiro ari mu banyeshuri ndetse no mu ba staff kugira ngo habeho za proposals zigamije gureba uburyo ki ibibazo by'aba consumers byagenda bikemuka. Twese dufatanyije rero ndumva ni igitekerezo cyiza, tuzakomeza kubikorana kandi bizabyara umusaruro mwiza. Murakoze cyane.
Arakoze cyane Deje kuri intervention nziza yari ikenewe izayunganira ibyo panelists bacu baramaze kugeraho. Muri make rero usibye ko dufite uburyo tuza guhuza bino bintu tuganiriyeho by'ingenzi, izi ingamba dufashe tugezeho, tukareba n'ukuntu twaza zishyira mu bikorwa. Muri nta rondogoye cyane, hari ikintu gikomeye twungutse muri bino biganiro cya digital literacy igomba kuba very much included in the engagement of a higher gear in consumer awareness, ariko kongeraho na FSPs nabo bakaba abantu bigishwa nabo gufata uwo murongo. Hanyuma ikindi kivuzwe cyane gikomeye ari nacyo Deje avuze mu kanya no gushaka ukuntu dukora to walk an extra mile in setting up a collaborative framework between regulatory authorities. So bavuze ko cyagana kuri forum y'aba regulatory authority. Numva nacyo ari ikintu twasigarana muri deliberations z'ibiganiro bya none. Ikindi cyavuzwe cyane kandi gisubiyemo na Director General wari inclusion of higher learning institutions muri aka kazi gakomeye cyane kaba kuri policy level haba kuri regulatory level muri private sector ko aba high learning institutions zagombye guhabwa akanya zikinjira muri iki gikorwa. Hanyuma na Beneri irasabwa kuba an accessible regulatory authority, aho every consumer or digital finances services yumva ari at ease when entering muri Beneri agiye kubaza akabazo kamubayeho muri transaction ziri financial transaction. Numva ikindi rero nuko regulations zacu ziba inclusive, zigashiramo aba consumers bakaba consulted. Hanyuma no muri implementation hakabamo nanone kongera umurego kugira ngo tubashe gusubiza ibibazo. Ubwo ndahita ngaruka ku byo Angelos yaravuze mu mategeko yashizweho recently harimo ririya rya security ya data. Ubwo reka tuvuge ko MTN na Airtel n'abandi bafite information z'abaturage wenda kugeza no munota ntibiri gukurikizwa kubera ko iryo tegeko mutari mwariha ryatangira kuba implemented ijana kuri indi, ariko we have ikigo cya cyber security kishinzwe kubikora. Ubwo rero izo regulation na legal instruments that have been put in place, that have been enacted, kumukuziha ingufu muri implementation, it will lead to see the customers satisfied, protected. Ibyo byose twavuze. Ngira ngo nari nigerageje gusa nuvuga muri makeya ibyo twaganiriyeho hano. Turagerageza no muri rika abo dufatanyije dukore deliberations tuzibuze turebe ko twazabasha no kuzishyira mu bikorwa. Rero reka mbasabe ngo mu mpera amashyi my panelist and your panelists as well kuri kino gikorwa cyiza. Mbasaba no guhaguruka ku murimo mwiza bamaze kuduha, ku biganiro byiza bamaze kuduha, bagasubira mu myanya yabo. Nkaba rero mbabwira ko uyu munsi igitondo cyacu twatangiye muri celebration y'uyu munsi kiri kugenda kigana ku musozo. Nagira ngo ndetse no kuri iyo note munyemerere nsabe uhagarariye governor wa Beneri hano ariwe the host of this theme, nawe yongera ahaguruke hanyuma ze adusoreze ibiganiro by'igitondo. Nyuma yaho ndabwira igikurikiyeho ariko twari twakivuganyeho kanya na kanya.
Thank you, MC. So I have got actually the results I had not expected before, because through the panelists, so many questions were raised, and according to the answers and the feedback that we got here, so I can really confirm that our objectives have been achieved even more than 100%. Dear Director General Rika, representatives from various institutions, I once again thank you very much for coordinating these efforts. in line with protecting our consumers. Normally, in my opening remarks, I mostly focused on financial service providers, but I want in my closing remarks, which will be very brief, to focus on ourselves as consumers, because much as we point our fingers to financial service providers, we should also look at ourselves as consumers, because the government is doing all possible to put in place some frameworks, laws and regulations. So, but again, as consumers, we need to embrace them. First of all, based on what Mini City said, some of the taxes that were set to be achieved in 2024, that everybody here present and other Rwandans and other people living in Rwanda should be use digital financial services. I hope everybody here present has several products or services he or she is using. I hope if I can ask, everybody can tell me that probably he or she is using mobile money, Airtel money, internet banking, mobile banking, and so on and so forth. Some of these other cards that we use. So we first of all need to embrace these other services and we use them. Secondly, so we need to know our rights and obligations and be able to claim them. So because much as we can put in place the regulations and the laws, if we don't claim our rights, it will be a problem. I was discussing with some of my colleagues. They were telling me that if you are to apply for a loan from a financial service provider, so the first thing you have to do is not to read the contract, because what you need is the money. So if you get it, you have to go home. There's no need of reading the contract. So, and you know that that contract is the one that governs that service, and if we face any challenge, so the contract will be referred to. So we need so to know that and be able to claim it. And secondly, so we always claim, even through the questions that we are asked here, so we claim that the financial services are expensive. Yet, so we've been provided with some provisions of transparency whereby you can compare. Probably if BK is charging a certain amount, probably KCB is a bit lower. So why can't you go and compare and choose? So we always claim, but again we forget to know the fact that those provisions are in place and those services are in place, those facilities are in place, we need to use them. The other thing that I touched on, I hear some people saying that probably they don't get loans, but there is another element that is coming in of overconsumption of loans. We've listened some countries whereby people tried to hang themselves or to commit suicide because of consuming too much loans. So we need to know that fact, that you need to take a loan after thinking, after having received the explanations from the financial service provider, and then think twice whether you are able to use it and be able to pay back. So my colleague has been touching on some of the complaints we receive. There are some complainants who say that probably I took a loan from a bank. At the end of the day, my income stopped. Then I'm requesting the central bank to tell the bank that you have to stop collecting that loan because I no longer have the income. So that one is not your right. You need to go and deal with your financial service provider probably and see how they can be able to help you. I don't want to delay much. I want to once again thank you and end by promising on behalf of the central bank that we shall continue working in partnership with you, especially I normally talk to Damie every day. So you are now representing the consumers. So if you are going to put in place a regulation or a survey or something, education targeting consumers, you are supposed to tell us what the consumers need. So otherwise, we can try to address things or questions or problems that are not there. I once again thank you very much and officially close this session because I know the activities related to consumer rights period continue going forward. Thank you.
Arakoze cyane rero uhagarariye umuyobozi wa BNL kuduha izino remarks zisoza. Ndagira ngo rero ntago ari ngewe ugiye gutinda kandi dufite igikorwa nacyo kimena kigiye kurikiraho cyitwa gufungura. Ndagira ngo mbasabe abashinzwe protocole bamfashe twereke aho amafunguro twagenewe ari. Mbibutsa ko tuza kugira inteko z'abaturage mu kanya baraduha ababishinzwe turahabwa impanuro zijyanye nabyo mu kanya kaza gukurikiraho. Akazi rero bari bampaye reka nanjye nkarekeraho kuko karangiye, hanyuma nanjye tujyane ku mafunguro kandi mugire umunsi mwiza, mukomeze mwishimire umunsi w'umuguzi. Murakoze.